Huachuca, ooh la la. Oh, hey guys. Oh, sorry. Welcome in. If you watched the Jimmy Dore show today, you got an early preview of the hoodie I was in. I thought about pulling a fast one and going and changing clothes real fast, but no, I went with tennis ball green. So, or Philadelphia mint green, coach. Whatever you got going, I've got it. Did you see the AD Fleet video of Coach Colin? Holy mackerel. It was hilarious. Watching Mikey McCoy sashay up the stairs was almost more than I could handle. Guys, welcome in. We got a big show tonight. I'm going to roll out a cool tool to use tonight to help guide the program a little bit. We're going to add to it, maybe make a few modest suggestions of corrections along the way. I don't know if the makers of the tool will be tuned in tonight and watching or not. I did reach out and let them know that I would be using the tool tonight, liberally using the tool. So I hope they're fine with me doing that. They didn't say I couldn't. But welcome in. Daiquiri Ice. Yes, could be Daiquiri Ice. Lots of good suggestions there. Don't forget on your way in, hit the like button, helps the channel. Subscribe. Make sure you check and you're still subscribed, because my own mother, my flesh and blood, was unsubscribed. And I know she didn't do that on purpose. So we're gonna have a good one. Real quickly, I gotta play it. I've got to play it. It's not me. This is Boach Ballin', and I've got to play it because we got to watch just a little clip of this. Mikey McCoy sashaying up. From the darkness into the light of the Lord, a hero in the making, praising God with one accord, singing. So I gotta ask AD Fleet why AD Fleet chose to make Mikey McCoy look even manlier than he does normally, because that was way manlier than Mikey McCoy does. If you have not looked at AD Fleet or subscribed to those videos, I don't know if it's a male or a female. I'd like to use a pronoun, but I don't want to call it a he if it's a she, and I don't want to call it a she if it's a he. So I just referred to it by its full name, AD Fleet. Maybe that's by design, so I have to say the name over and over. But if you don't have that, there's a great video up about Boach Ballin' singing to Mikey McCoy about the amazing or magnificent Mikey McCoy, and it's phenomenal. And anytime I get to see Mikey McCoy sashay around the stage, my day is complete. So my day was complete awfully early this morning. Couple things. One more. Well, let me do the open and then let me do the open. And then we will do what I think is the biggest story of the day. And it's going to shock you when I say this. Yeah, I'll do a short shrift of it. I'll do a quick treatment of it, but it's a huge story. It is related, believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, to the Charlie Kirk investigation, and then we're going to bust out the timeline. And I think we've discovered who was on the mysterious N40 Juliet Delta flight, and it really revolutionizes the timeline. It really jazzes up the timeline. So we got a big show. Buckle your safety harness. Settle in. They don't sell just edges of seats. They sell you entire seats, but you won't need it. You won't need it. You're going to be on the edge of the seat the entire show. I can assure you of that. I can promise you that. So let me get into the opening statement. It is, I think, a pretty good one. It was technically fun to write, believe it or not. I didn't know a whole lot of the finer details of this story, and now I do. So with that said, AD Fleet is female, I'm told. So henceforth, she shall be a she. And if it's a he and they're lying to me, I apologize. My chat has sabotaged me. That's the case. All right, guys, you ready? Here is your opening statement. And let me say this first. It sets up nicely what we're doing tonight, going over the timeline. So now, your opening statement. You guys want to know why I do this? Is because when I scroll real fast, I can see myself do this, and I know it's time to put the chapter in for the opening statement. So there's a method to all madness, ladies. Method to all madness. Understanding the importance of timelines that are rooted in reality is fundamental to how we interpret history. Timelines serve as the backbone to factual recounting. They provide a structured sequence of events that allows us to discern cause from effect, intention from accident, truth from myth. When timelines are distorted, whether through exaggeration, selective memory, cultural retellings, they can perpetuate inaccuracies that skew public perception and hinder comprehension. For instance, in historical disasters like the sinking of the Titanic, And an accurate timeline might romanticize hubris or drama at the expense of engineering lessons or the analysis of human error. This distortion can lead to repeated mistakes in fields like safety design or crisis management. We as a society might even fail to grasp the precise chain of events that led to such catastrophes. Moreover, rooting timelines in realities honors the individuals involved. Accurate timelines respect the victims by acknowledging the actual duration of events rather than compressing them into sensationalized flashes. Accurate chronologies promote critical thinking. They encourage us to question sources, verify details. They teach us to evaluate evidence like survivor testimonies, logs, artifacts. They also foster empathy by revealing the human scale of events. They show not just what happened, but perhaps things like how long suffering endured or opportunities for intervention. Ultimately, timelines grounded in verifiable facts build a more informed society where decisions are made based on something more than folklore, and they prevent the cycle of myth-making that obscures our search for the truth. Take, for example, the sinking of the Titanic. The common wisdom surrounding the Titanic's timeline is a blend of Hollywood dramatization, journalistic sensationalism, and even a dose of urban legends that have solidified over several generations, spanning more than a century. They've coalesced into a narrative of swift, inevitable doom born from overconfidence. The entire ordeal is painted as a rapid plunge following a midnight iceberg collision, with the ship vanishing beneath the waves in under an hour amid chaos featuring both villainism and heroism. But this compressed timeline emphasizes dramatic moments. The band playing Nearer My God to Thee as the stern rises vertically, passengers scrambling for lifeboats, and the vessel breaking in half in a spectacular finale before plunging into the icy waters, shrouded in an impossibly dark setting. It's poetry. It's not fact. Central to the myth is an almost diabolical hubris of the White Star Line and the Titanic's builder, who boldly proclaimed the Titanic unsinkable well before her maiden voyage. This myth emphasizes a cautionary tale of arrogance. It leads directly to the deaths of innocent passengers and crew. Because they believed the Titanic unsinkable, the story goes, they chose to skimp on things like lifeboats, as they assumed they wouldn't need them. The pre-sailing boast is often linked to the ship's luxurious amenities, its massive size. And it suggests the entire timeline began with the departure on April 10th, 1912, only to abruptly end 4 days later. In this folklore, the sequence unfolds like a Greek tragedy in sequential acts. Warnings of icebergs ignored during the reckless speed record attempt to impress New York upon arrival. The collision shortly before midnight. The sudden fatal blow that dooms the ship. Frantic but brief evacuation where women and children first is unevenly enforced at best. And then the final sinking, with the entire ordeal feeling like a few minutes rather than hours. And the myths amplify this claim of unsinkable, this label. The myths amplify it as a marketing slogan. And then you have other misconceptions, like the band playing until the very end of the boat sinking, or Captain Edward Smith ordering it to sail at full speed despite warnings. But this version ignores nuances. At best, it breezes past actual documented facts. You have prolonged flooding. You have failed distress calls. It favors a morality play where the timeline serves as a warning of the pride going before the fall. It results in a tidy tale with events unfolding like a movie in a cinematic rush. And over time, books like A Night to Remember and movies like James Cameron's Titanic have become what most people view as reality. And it makes the Titanic a shorthand for a disaster born from arrogance or at least complacency. The actual chronology of events is sacrificed for emotional impact. The real timeline of the Titanic disaster is more of a grueling story of a protracted ordeal marked by incremental failures, marked by human decisions and missed opportunities. It unfolded over several days, with the sinking itself spanning nearly 3 hours. And to truly understand the timeline, sometimes you have to go back to the basics. You have to look at a story from the beginning. So let's start at the beginning and build up to the voyage. I'll do my best to keep it brief and to avoid the mythology and stay grounded in history. The Titanic's construction began way back on March 31, 1909, more than 3 years before it sank. It was in Belfast that the keel was laid down for what at the time would become the world's largest ship. The Titanic itself was launched on May 31, 1911, almost a year before she finally sank. It was completed by March 31, 1912, more than 2 weeks before it sank. It had trials on the Irish Sea that confirmed its seaworthiness. And finally, on April 10th at 12:15 p.m., the Titanic departed Southampton for her maiden voyage to New York. Most people don't realize that that evening it actually stopped. It stopped in France to board more passengers. And from there, it sailed to Ireland and stopped again. It arrived there the following day at 1:30 p.m. And after loading the final group of passengers from Ireland, then it finally headed into the open Atlantic, bound for New York. In all, there were 2,224 people aboard, including 892 crewmen, and the rest a mix of passengers in first, second, and third classes. And the early days were pretty boring. It was perfect sailing weather. They were largely uneventful days. But by April 14th, the ship was steaming ahead through calm seas, but in an area known for ice. Iceberg warnings had been received throughout the day. The first warning came at 9 a.m. It noted fields of ice ahead. And the captain, contrary to the myth, actually adjusted the course, adjusted south at 5:50 p.m. to avoid the reported hazards. But it did maintain its speed. This was a common practice as visibility was still clear. And then more warnings came. The next was from the Californian at 7:30 p.m. about nearby ice, and then another from the Masaba at 9:40 p.m., and it detailed a heavy pack of ice. And they were noted, but they weren't urgently acted upon, as the wire operators were busy with messages, passenger messages. And then at 11:39 p.m., that was the fateful moment that the iceberg was first spotted dead ahead from the crow's nest, and a guy up there named Frederick Fleet rang the bell. And then he phoned the bridge to let them know there was an iceberg ahead. And the first officer ordered the ship to make a hard left turn and to reverse the engines. Unfortunately, it was just too late. It was only 37 seconds before contact. There was no time. The next minute, at 11:40 p.m., the right side of the Titanic grazed the iceberg, and it buckled the plates and popped the rivets over a course of about 300 feet. It flooded 6 forward compartments. The captain was awakened. He was brought to the deck. He reviewed the situation with the designer of the boat, and 20 minutes later, they determined the ship might have an hour or two left, as the flooding had exceeded the ship's capacity to hold water. At 12:05 p.m., that's when the captain ordered passengers into the lifeboats, and he ordered women and children first. And that's when the Titanic began sending distress signals about 10 minutes later, 12:15 a.m. The calls gave the ship's position in longitude and latitude, but unfortunately, the closest ship had already shut down its wireless communications for the night and missed the emergency calls. There was another boat 58 miles away, the Carpathia, and it responded and immediately began racing towards the Titanic, but it was going to be several hours before they would arrive. And when they started loading the lifeboats, they did it sort of unevenly. The first one launched at 12:45 a.m. There were 28 people aboard out of a capacity of 65. Passengers were overheard doubting whether the ship could sink or the severity of the accident. There were no obvious signs of distress other than the ship not moving and being idle. But by 1 a.m., the bow was noticeably dipping. The water had already reached all the way up to the nameplate. And about 1 a.m., when this was going on, the Titanic decided it's time to start firing flares. And crew members above the Californian saw the flares, but they just mistook them for entertainment or some sort of other signal. And then by 1:15, the flooding had accelerated. The forward deck was becoming submerged. They continued launching lifeboats at a slow but a steady pace, mostly still at less than full capacity. By 1:30 a.m., the tilt worsened, and it started to cause panic among the third-class passengers. who were blocked in some instances due to barriers or just confusion on how to get up to the upper decks. The band did keep playing, but they weren't playing any hymns or Nearer God to Thee. They were playing ragtime music because they thought it would calm the nerves of the anxious passengers. By 2 a.m., they launched the last lifeboat, and there were still 1,500 people aboard. About 5 minutes later, the forward funnel collapsed, and it crushed the people swimming in the waters below. About 5 minutes after that, 2:10 a.m., the final wireless message was sent. The last words ever spoken, so to speak, from the Titanic, engine room full up to the boilers. The ship broke apart between the third and fourth funnels at 2:17. The bow sank first, pulled the stem vertical, and 3 minutes later, the stern plunged. The water was 28 degrees Fahrenheit. That's minus 2 degrees Celsius. Nearly everyone unfortunate enough to be in the water got hypothermia and died over the next 20 to 30 minutes. The survivors were floating around in 20 mostly underfilled boats awaiting rescue in what became a very, very dark and very silent scene. Just before dawn at 4 a.m., the Carpathia showed up and started picking up survivors. By 8:30, they had loaded all the survivors in and were headed to New York, where they arrived 3 days later. The actual facts, the actual timeline of the Titanic's sinking is not nearly as sexy or appealing as the myth that has become conventional wisdom. Rather than a cocky and arrogant company recklessly building a ship doomed to catastrophe, sailing with a riverboat gambler for a captain, we're instead left with a ship that was built quite within the acceptable specs of its day and captained by a very serious and capable man who ended up at the bottom of the ocean with his vessel. The iceberg danger was known, and the crew took steps to account for it. The ship didn't hit an iceberg and then immediately start sinking. It slowly succumbed over the course of a couple of hours. Help didn't take days to arrive. It arrived a few hours later, before the sun even rose. It was a tragedy, sure, and there are lessons to be learned from every tragedy. But if the myth replaces the reality, those trying to prevent future tragedies might be solving for problems that never actually existed. And that is your opening statement. And the reason I wanted to talk about that tonight is because that's where I feel like we are in the Charlie Kirk investigation. We have to go back and look at the timeline. We have to make sure we're not solving for problems that don't exist. We have to make sure we're dealing in reality. Because if we don't deal in reality, then we have a problem on our hands. A, we can't solve the case. And two, A and two, B, the people who are responsible get away with it. And three, we can't prevent something like this from happening again in the future. So we're going to dive into that tonight. I hope you are ready to go. Before we get into it, I have to play one short clip. I'm not going to play the whole clip. I have to start with one short clip, and I'll explain why. Most of you, the only reason you've heard of me is because I started doing a series on the Charlie Kirk investigation that dealt with a tool on Google known as Google Trends. And Google Trends was an interesting tool that I'd been using for about 15 years in my own practice, but it really never been applied to any kind of investigatory effort. But what I discovered was, and you could go back and watch the early shows. I don't want to rehash all of it. But what I discovered was there were some interesting searches that took place in the days, weeks, and months leading up to September 10th, when Charlie Kirk was taken out. And those searches were things like the name Tyler James Robinson, which is the alleged shooter's full name, names like Lance Twiggs, usernames of theirs on Discord and gaming platforms, people like surgeons who worked at Timpanogos Hospital, people like the judge in the case, Judge Tony Graff, the prosecutor, the Department of Public Safety commissioner, the person who performs autopsies, the medical examiner. All these people had been searched in different jurisdictions in the weeks and months leading up to the case. And not always were these people being searched in Utah, where it would make sense, I think, a lot of times to have your name searched in Utah. You live there. But they were searched in places like Washington, D.C. or Israel. And I saw this initially. I started looking at it, and I thought, boy, this is really problematic. Like, I don't know that I want to talk about this. And so I first started trying to get other people's attention. I tried to send it to Ian. I tried to send it to Candace. I sent it to a few other podcasters thinking somebody's going to pick up on this. I gave them screen caps. I gave them summaries, much like I write my opening statements. A lot of these people may have in their email archives, they don't even know it, long emails from me, blow by blow of who's in there, why they shouldn't be there, how they show up, what date range, what my conclusion is. And after several weeks of not getting anybody to respond, I finally was like, fine, I'll do it myself. Because I had a podcast, just nobody watched it. And I was like, I'll do it. So I went on there and I did Charlie Kirk episode number 1. And it was something like disturbing Google trend searches before Charlie Kirk or something like that. And I think like 49 people watched that show. And then I noticed over a couple of weeks, I'd done 2 or 3 of them. And over a couple of weeks, it went from 49 watching to 100 to 200 to 500 to 1,000. And then Ian Carroll discovered it somehow. I think he found it on Twitter. Somebody was talking about it. And all of a sudden, it just took off. It took on a life of its own. So I finally got away from the doing an all Google Trends all the time show and started doing other stuff, looking into other aspects of it. And you guys have joined the parade, and we're having a good time. The reason I bring this up is when I was doing this in the very early days, I figured I was over the target. And here's why. Because I was taking a lot of flack. I was getting a lot of heat. People like Gary over at Paramount Tactical would do shows where he, by name, would trash me. There were like 200 people watching me at the time. Why are you trashing somebody that nobody watches? And I thought that means I'm onto something. And the more I looked, the more I discovered. And I'm telling you, if you go watch those first 5-6 shows, there are so many wild things that were searched in the days, weeks, and months leading up to it in these jurisdictions. And then when Candace discovered the Egyptian connection, we started looking at Egypt. I mean, it's just crazy. It's crazy what all we discovered. But it never quite took off in the mainstream. Nobody was really talking about doing it outside of some other podcasters or people on X that would look at stuff from time to time. And I have my own way I do it. And I'm not saying my way is better than anybody else's way, but it's a way I'm pretty satisfied that I'm able to weed out a lot of the noise and just focus on what I perceive as the signal, the true oddities. So I want to play something I came across today. This was an interesting clip that showed up on my home screen. And I thought, I know where that came from. And I'm only showing it really that, they say you do things for an audience of one. I'm doing it for Gary. Here you go, Gary. This is for you, baby.
Guys, listen to this. As we're discussing the possibility, the sheriff's statement of targeted kidnapping and the possibility that somebody understanding, I mean, it could have just been about Nancy Guthrie, but the odds are it had something to do with the rich daughter. I mean, I think that's probably the smarter bet. Fox News reporting, this is the headline. Internet user, they don't know who, searched for Nancy Guthrie's address and daughter's salary before Today host's mother vanished. This is literally breaking after the discussion we just had. It's crazy. I don't know how you can tell this. Fox News is citing Google Trends.
Google Trends has gone mainstream, ladies and gentlemen. We've been vindicated. We've been vindicated. Google Trends has gone mainstream. I was tickled pink. I could not have been more excited if I had to be. Oh, gosh. I was peacocking around the house after that. Woo! I never thought I would see the day, ladies and gentlemen. Never thought I would see the day. Fox News out there. They're searching Nancy Guthrie's address. Huh? They're searching how much her daughter makes. I don't even care about the Nancy Guthrie case. I haven't spent 2 brain cells on the Nancy Guthrie case. People asked me about it, and I honestly did not know it was still in the news. This popped up in my feed. But I thought, gosh, I hope Gary's watching that. And I just assume he watches every one of these shows. So, Gary, that was for you, baby. That was for you. I was so excited to see that. Now, here's my question to Megyn Kelly. Megyn, have you done any analysis relative to the Charlie Kirk investigation? You claim he's your friend. Have you looked at any of that Google trending to see if it might give you some idea of what's going on? Have you looked at it, Megyn? You claim he's your friend. You might want to look into it. Go to the Real Baron podcast. Baron Coleman did some good shows on it. About 6 or 8 really good shows on it. So I just wanted to bring that up. I don't care about the Nancy Guthrie case. I'm not going to cover the Nancy Guthrie case. I have no opinion on the Nancy Guthrie case. But that felt good when I saw that. I thought, man alive, we have arrived, ladies and gentlemen. Not we, meaning me. I'm talking about the decentralized investigatory team of which all of you are a part. All of you who watch, all of you who donate, all of you who email tips, all of you who drop good tips in the comments. We have arrived. We are the media. Hey, get out of our office. We're the media now. Look at me. I am the media now. Get out of here, Fox News. You're behind the 8 ball. Oh, man, that was great. All right. I want to introduce you guys to a tool. And I'm going to lean on it a little bit tonight. And as I discussed, I am going to show where maybe my investigation differs a little bit from their investigation, and that's fine. I did some playing around on this new tool that was just developed for those following along on the Charlie Kirk case. It's not Web. Web is a great tool, by the way, but Web is more on the island files. This is more on the Charlie Kirk investigation. I would love for those two companies to get together and combine efforts because they're both doing really good work. They both have produced really good tools. But I want to introduce you to this tool, and then I want to focus specifically on the timeline because I think we have to go back to the basics. Daisy and I have been looking at a lot of these timeline issues, and we're finding things that are just not possible. And we're finding things that just don't make sense, and we're finding inconsistencies, and we're finding, dare I say it, probably lies. Probably flat out lies. So I want to dig into this a little bit. I hope you're still peacocking around as well. Because I tell you, I felt good all day after seeing that. Woo! All right, let me pull this up real quick. I want you guys to follow along at home. I'm going to be relying on this pretty heavily tonight. And it's a great, great tool. And I'll show you how it works. So this is if you go to whokilledck.com, this will pop up. This is the homepage. It's got a little spotlight around it's actually nice because you can see where my mouse is. But it's got this little spotlight. It's got this, tells you what it is, and it's got a rundown. I'm going to be using the timeline feature mostly tonight. It's got this Explore tab, which is pretty cool. It's an AI-driven, algorithmic, machine learning type of tool that will get in there and really help you find information. I'm not going to be using that as much tonight. Then it's got this analysis where they've done their own little analysis. But I'm going to come up here and click timeline. I'm going to show you how this works real quick, and then I'm going to drill into some specifics. This timeline on the left is kind of a day by day, month by month, sometimes minute by minute, or even second by second analysis of what was going on in the Charlie Kirk investigation. Starts all the way back here in October of 2023. And if you go all the way down, it kind of concludes here in October of 2025. So it's about a 2-year timeline. Obviously, some days, some minutes, some hours have more entries than others. Like October of 2023, I think just has the one entry. But I'll start there just to give you an idea of what kind of stuff they put in here and how this tool works. And then I'll go through and we'll really start to drill down on the timeline, particularly relative to the inconsistencies. But this gives you an idea here. So let me make it actually a little smaller on my screen so it's a little bigger on yours. There we go. Let me do right there. So this starts on October 12 of 2023. This is 5 days after the battle between Gaza and Israel kicked off. And it has Charlie Kirk questioning their government on the attack. And if you click on it, it gives you a summary of what happened. Even a quote where Charlie gives you an idea of his opinion on it. And then there you can actually go down to the source. It has a time-stamped link to Charlie Kirk on the Patrick Bet David podcast where he gave you this quote. So it's a really cool tool. If you think, I remember when that happened, I don't remember where I heard it, you might find it here. You might be able to find it here. And then just another idea. So you go a few months later and it says Charlie Kirk sends private message to Candace Owens saying Catholicism is sounding better and better, right? So you read here, it's got the quote, and then it goes right to the YouTube source where you can hear her read the text message. So this is how this works. I don't want to go through every instance because we'll be here till 4 a.m, and I don't have that kind of time on my hands. Nor do I think it's edifying. Well, I mean, it's edifying if that's what interests you, but it's not edifying from the perspective of what I want to accomplish tonight. So let me drill into some specific times. I want to start on September 7th of 2025. We could go back a little sooner, maybe to, let's say, May of 2025, because you have an Egyptian plane that arrives in Provo, Utah that day, May 23. You've got some Charlie Kirk in June of 2025 going to Donald Trump, arguing foreign policy, does not want to go to war with Iran, for example. You've got the TPUSA Student Action Summit where Charlie Kirk tells Tucker Carlson to go Max, that famous line, go Max, regarding our greatest ally. You've got where Tucker Carlson speaks. You've got Dave Smith debating Josh Hammer. I call it debating. That's a bad way to put it. Abusing Josh Hammer, destroying Josh Hammer. What's another way to put it? Humiliating. I'm not sure how you would want to do that, but it got debacled. Josh Hammer got debacled. He got hammered. Ladies and gentlemen. But you could go back further, and if you do go back further, and if you go back, shameless plug here, if you go back and watch my early shows on Google Trends, what you're going to find is it's about this same time, right about the same time of the Student Action Summit. That's about the same time when all of the Google Trends searches go crazy. That's when they're search. This week right here, it's all centered around about July 14th, the week before and after that. And that just happens to coincide with Charlie Kirk getting bombarded with infuriated messages from his donors, from his pro-greatest ally donors. And so you can begin with this timeline or with my Google Trend searches or by combining them. You can begin to paint a picture of, well, it sure seems like something changed about that time. It sure seems like a decision was made to remove Charlie Kirk about that time. Why else, for example, would 7 different surgeons from Timpanogos Regional Hospital, tiny Timpanogos Regional Hospital, why would 7 different surgeons from there be searched in Israel in July? That doesn't make any sense to me. Within a couple of weeks. If you go on and watch that Megyn Kelly clip that I played a little bit ago, and you can go find it, it's not hard to find. But if you go watch it, it's so funny because they're like, well, surely Google's going to cooperate and hand over all the data. They'll know the IP addresses of whoever did this search. They'll be able to go right to the door and solve the case. And I'm like, yeah, I know. I've been begging. If you remember my early shows, I was like, Cash Patel, where are you? Why have you not done this yet? Why have you not knocked on the doors of the people who did these searches? Why have you not, if you have to go overseas, jump on a plane, go confront them face to face? What's going on here? But I digress. So you can go back a little further if you want to look at what I think is probably the real start of all this, which would be probably early June, maybe late May, is when all the finalizing the plan or really getting the plan in place really started kicking off. And then you had, by middle of June, I mean, we're searching surgeons, we're searching medical examiners, they're searching district attorneys, public defenders, everybody Tyler Robinson's ever known, roommates, family. I mean, it's crazy what's in there. You have to go back and watch those early podcasts if you're not. They're on all the platforms, Spotify, YouTube, whatever. Take it with you on the road. Put on waterproof earphones and listen to it in the shower. Just don't tell anyone you're taking, well, maybe don't listen to it in the shower, but listen to it wherever you are where you have some time and you're not doing anything else. But I want to drill in for the purpose of what we're talking about today. I want to drill back into just a little bit. Let's start in early August. Maybe we'll go back to there for just a second. So let me bring this tool back up. Because you start to get in early August, a Hamptons meeting, August 4th, the Hamptons meeting where Charlie Kirk is pressured over his foreign policy stances regarding our greatest ally. The next day, August 5th, that's when Charlie Kirk is said, according to Candace, that Andrew Colvett told her, that Charlie Kirk had decided he was not going to accept our greatest ally's offer to take him to the next level, quote unquote, the next level. The next day after that, August 6th, he shows up on Megyn Kelly's show. He's clearly irritated and furious. And it was 1 week later when we had the first public pronouncement that something was seriously awry. And that's this right here. This is this Harrison Smith post. Harrison Smith works for InfoWars. And he says that he has heard Charlie Kirk is worried our greatest ally will kill him if he ever turns against them. And everything has kicked up a notch. Timpanogos Hospital announces a new CEO a couple of days later. August 24, this is when the UVU event fully kicks off. Well, so did another event, Operation Valhalla Strike. The military training exercise at Camp Ridley, Minnesota, kicks off the exact same day that Brian Harpole tells Sean Ryan they begin security planning for the UVU event. August 25th, you remember the micro explosive from Accurate Energetic Systems that was delivered on October 25th. It happened to coincide, the delivery date. We don't know whether these two things are related, but it happened to coincide with a private plane flying from Heber City, where Butch Hibbs lives, into John Toon Airport in Nashville to retrieve potentially the device, or maybe it's unrelated. We don't know. We've got military jets flying to the area. We've got all this stuff taking place. We've got Charlie Kirk, August 27, rejecting an invitation to go visit our greatest ally. In the meantime, we've got new people being installed as the head of the FBI out in Salt Lake City. And then we have Charlie Kirk's financial audit, or his Doge effort he wanted to do. That's the September 2nd email. All this is taking place in the background, and we're told officially none of this matters. It's all unrelated. What really matters is this right here, that Tyler Robinson, while all this is going on in the background, totally oblivious to any of it happening, goes, you know what? I've had enough of that Charlie Kirk. I've just had enough of him. Some things you just can't live with, and Charlie Kirk is one of them. One of us has got to go, so I'm taking him out. Because he said he began planning it about a week or so before. That put it at September 3rd. Again, he has no idea any of this is going on. He has no idea. Charlie Kirk is telling people, I think people are trying to kill me, and I think I know who's doing it. He has no idea that donors are pulling multi-million-dollar donations from him. He has no idea that prime ministers of foreign countries are putting pressure on Charlie Kirk to accept hundreds, potentially of millions of dollars. Nope. He's upset because Charlie said something about, he didn't even really specify what it was about. He just said he was hateful, which as many alternative lifestyle people work at TPUSA, I just find that hard to believe that this is a reality, but whatever. That same week, we hear from the neighbors there was some unusual vehicle traffic observed at their house. We got another Egyptian military jet arriving in Provo, Utah. Now, there are two on the ground in Provo, Utah. September 7th. We're just 3 days out now. We're going to really start slowing down and drilling into the timeline very specifically here. And this is about where I'm going to start going and grabbing some other information. So I'm going to have to start switching away from this timeline over to some other stuff here in a minute. But you have a U.S. government military jet that leaves Joint Base Andrews in Washington, D.C., and flies to Colorado Springs and eventually to Fort Huachuca under a special air mission call sign. And then the next day, this has it on September 8th, actually. I do believe now we've clarified, according to Josh Hammer, who was on the group text, that this was actually the September 9th, the day before. But the day before Charlie Kirk enters paradise, we're told that Charlie Kirk told his TPUSA friends and donors and fans of our greatest ally that he is leaving the pro-Israel cause. You've left me no choice but to leave the pro-Israel cause. He'd be dead less than 24 hours later. So that's the setting That's sort of the setting of everything that's going on. I'm gonna leave for another day the discussion of everything that was going on at Fort Huachuca, because we have to pick and choose what we can cover on a timeline review like this. Otherwise, we'll be here all night. So September 8th and 9th, there's all this stuff in Fort Huachuca going on. I just don't have time tonight to get into all that on the timeline. I want to be able to get through everything I want to get through tonight in a timely fashion. So let's go specifically to the day of the Big Bang. What is happening on the day of the Big Bang? We're going to ask ourselves up front the following question. I'm a good test taker, by the way. I'm an excellent test taker. I probably am a better test taker than I am smart. And I feel like I'm okay in the IQ department. It's a high IQ outfit, but I'm a very good test taker. One of the things I do is, if there's a long block of text, I go down and look at what the question is. And then I read the text in light of the question. I'm only looking for the answer to the question. I don't care about anything else. Here's the question. Does the official timeline make sense? That's, I guess, question one. It's a two-part question. Does the official timeline make sense? In other words, is it likely? And question two is a subpart. If it's unlikely, is it even possible? Is it even possible? Because I'm going to bring you some information tonight that's new, that I doubt you've heard. It's public. It's available, just like the radio dispatch calls we've played the last couple of days. Those were available, just nobody bothered covering them. Just like the fact that Zechariah Karashi was allegedly, according to police dispatch radio, going hospital to hospital looking for Charlie Kirk, potentially with a long rifle. Like that was there. That existed. It's been public record for months, 5 months that's been available. Nobody's covered it. I don't know why no one's covered it. I don't know why the local news media didn't cover it. I don't know why Charlie Kirk's people didn't cover it. I don't know why TPUSA. I mean, you would think if anybody would have motivation to try to solve this, it would be Charlie's friends and family at TPUSA. They are, after all, a family. You would think Andrew Colvett and Blake Neff and Mikey McCoy, Frank Turek, my boy Robbie the Sailor Man. You would think these guys would just be eaten up all day long, spending more time than your humble host does, trying to solve the problem, trying to solve the case. If one of my best friends got shot, I promise you, or died, I would have listened to every police dispatch. I would have looked at every video trying to figure out, is justice being served? Are we figuring out who's doing it? Have we figured out who did it? Not these people. No, they made an instant conclusion that it was Tyler Robinson, and they stopped. And then they started shaming us who were looking around going, does this make sense? So I'm going to bring a little new information. Again, information that's been out the whole time, but that no one has bothered talking about. And we're going to ask, does this make sense? Is this even possible? Those are your questions. Does this make sense? Is it even possible? So let's go through it. I want to go through this. And again, we're going to add a little bit to this timeline that's not on the screen necessarily. But on the day of the assassination, we're told, because Candace Owens had a conversation with Terrell Farnsworth, we're told, and I will just read you the description. On the day of the assassination, a TPUSA employee was positioned directly behind Charlie Kirk throughout the event, a placement that had never occurred at previous TPUSA campus events. When questioned about the unusual positioning, the employee stated they were, quote, trying something new with the AV setup that day. And they claimed Charlie was they blamed Charlie, just like they blamed Gigi for everything. They said Charlie was super ambitious and wanted the feed of the event to go back instantly to Arizona. But Candace says, well, wait a minute. These are already live streamed back to Arizona. How's that different? And there was no explanation given. But the same person who told her this is then seen just a few minutes later removing the SD cards from the cameras. Not the cameras, the SD cards from the cameras. Just minutes after the shooting. So that's kind of like fact one of the day. Fact two of the day is at 7:08 a.m., one of the two Egyptian military planes departs Provo, Utah. Gone. Headed to Wilmington, Delaware. There's also this spy plane that does a low pass over Utah Lake. I'm not as interested in that. I'm not saying it's not relevant. It's just not something I'm ready to cover tonight. And then here's our first big, gigantic red flag, 8:29 a.m. This is the first thing that should cause you to say, okay, is it possible? Is what they're telling me possible? Not is it likely, is it even possible? We're told Tyler Robinson rolls up on campus in a gray Dodge Challenger. His car, the famed gray Dodge Challenger. 8:29 a.m. 4 hours, almost 4 hours. 3 hours and 54 minutes before the Big Bang. Why was he there so early? This comes directly from Governor Cox. Investigators reviewed additional video footage from UVU surveillance and identified Robinson on UVU campus in a gray Dodge Challenger at approximately 8:29 a.m., in which he is observed in video in a plain maroon T-shirt, light-colored shorts, a black hat with a white logo, and light shoes. That's all important because over the course of the day, he will wear allegedly a variety of mismatched outfits. This is the only time I'm aware of that he wears this exact outfit. He might have the shirt on later, maybe different shorts, different shoes. But this particular outfit he wears at 8:29 a.m. allegedly. Now, if he's only driving around in campus, I don't know how they know what color his shoes are or his shorts are. That's never been disclosed. Again, the statement is they saw him driving on campus in a Dodge Challenger. They don't say where he went. They don't say where he walked around to, how they know it was him driving the car. But that's the story, and they're sticking to it. That's their story, and they're sticking to it. Then we don't see him again for 3 hours and 20 minutes. 3 hours and 20 minutes later, we see Tyler Robinson again for the second time, excuse me. This time, this is the famed video footage from TMZ, where he's limping down the road. He's limping down the road in all black, heading towards the Utah Valley University campus, just a couple of blocks away. He's limping with what he describes here as a hobbling gait. We were told he was hobbling because he had a 30-06 down his pants. Is that a 30-06 in your pants, Tyler, or are you just happy to see us? Well, we're told he was not happy to see us. He had a 30-06 in his pants. Unlucky us. I've watched that video footage 1,000 times. I do not see a 30-06. I just don't. I just don't see it. Nevertheless, there are some weirdnesses about this video footage. It did not go to the Utah State Police. It did not go to the Utah County Police. It did not go to the federal government. It didn't go to the FBI. That video footage did not go to the sheriff's office, the UVU police. No, friends. No, friends. That video footage was collected from a neighbor that lives just off UVU, and it was sent, of all places, to Gossip Rag TMZ, who put it on their website. Gossip Rag TMZ gets a hold of this and puts it on their website. It's only later that we learn the person who was in that house at that time was Phil Lyman. That was the first time that was the first time I sat up and took notice and thought, I don't think that kid did it, because that is a weird set of events. Why is a former gubernatorial candidate hanging out just off of campus? How did they even know to look at their footage for this guy going by? How did they spot a guy and say that must have been him? What made, obviously he's limping a little bit maybe. But maybe he had cerebral palsy. I don't know. How do you know that he's limping because he has a gun in his pocket? And then why, if you thought you had an image of the alleged shooter and you know the entire FBI is looking for who might have taken down the national treasure, if you know the entire local state police apparatus is looking for him, if you know the county sheriff and the campus police are looking for him, why did you send it to a gossip column? Why did you send it to a website that has a TV show? Why wouldn't you send it to the police? You worked in state government. Surely you know that's how it's supposed to work. But whatever. Who am I to guess? But that's the first weird thing that happened. I thought, I don't know about all this. So this hobbling, limping man is walking through a neighborhood at 11:49, and then the police tell us at 11:51, he arrives on campus. He arrives on campus at 11:51. I'm going to start relying on the indictment here for a minute. I want you to read the indictment. If you've never read it, it's shocking. It's shocking. I think the indictment is almost more shocking than anything else we've read to date. Let's see if I can make it any bigger. There we go. Get this bad boy as big as we can get it. I know some of you are old like I am. There we go. Oh, now we're cooking with grease. There we go. All right. So let's scroll down here to where we get to the timeline. This is, where are we here? Okay, so this is the 12:23 time here where the Big Bang is heard. But then they back up a little bit and start talking about when everything started happening. Did you know, they had this whole deal on the Sean Ryan show about, the police should have had the roof. The police should have had the roof. They said they were going to have the roof, and they didn't have the roof. Did you know the police had the roof? There's evidence right here. The police had the roof. I'm going to try to get this as big as I can and get it in the screen, but I don't know if it's going to work. Look at this. Read this with me. At the moment of the shot, a UVU police officer was watching the crowd from an elevated vantage point. As soon as he heard the shot, he began to scan the area for threats. Believing the shot came from a rifle because of its sound, he looked for potential sniper positions. He noted a roof area approximately 160 yards away from Mr. Kirk as a potential shooting position and rushed there to look for evidence. Did you know a UVU police officer was in an elevated position where he could see roofs? I'm just reading directly from the indictment. I'm not making stuff up. I'm not guessing. I'm not telling you that I'm not making any connections that are not obvious in the text. I'm just telling you what's on the page. This is directly from the indictment. This is what they showed a grand jury. There was a UVU officer in an elevated position who could see the roofs. I ask you, ladies and gentlemen, what the hell was he looking at? What was he looking at? Well, if he was in an elevated position and could see the roofs, what was he looking at? Now read this, and then I'm gonna tell you why I think this is a lie. I think we've spotted something in here that's potentially not true. As a matter of fact, I think there's evidence that conflicts this statement here. The suspected shooting position is adjacent to an open, publicly accessible walkway. To access the suspected location, a person must climb over a railing and then drop to the roof only slightly below. The UVU officer climbed over the railing and down on the roof. He then walked to the suspected shooting position and confirmed a clear shooting corridor between the position and Mr. Kirk's seat. He noticed markings in the gravel rooftop consistent with a sniper having lain on the roof. Nice use of the proper English there, ladies and gentlemen. Impressions in the gravel potentially left by elbows, knees, and feet of a person in a prone shooting position. So he goes through the head, shoulders, knees, and toes of the situation. He's up there dancing, singing kids of head, shoulders, knees, and toes, knees, and toes. He sees the impressions in the gravel. But you'll notice at the moment of the shot, then he noted a roof area. He rushed there to look for evidence. I don't know what the physical training standards are for the police, but do you want to know what time he arrived? It was a ludicrous amount of time later. We'll tell you in a second. Now, police reviewed the surveillance footage from this area and discovered that it recorded an individual dressed in dark clothing crossing the railing from a public walkway and dropping onto the roof at approximately 12:15. The shot was not until, or the sound, the big bang was not until 12:23, which puts this individual on the roof not for a minute or two that we were told in the media. A minute or two, you might say, well, in a minute or two, maybe nobody saw him. This said he dropped on the roof at 12:15. He was up there for more than 8 minutes. Yes, he moved out of the camera's view, but don't forget, we had an officer in an elevated position who immediately looked to the roof and identified what he believed was a suspected shooter position. Now, I want to take you somewhere real quickly with me. I want to go to Google Earth real quick because I want to show you that I don't believe this guy. I think he's lying. And I think I can prove it. Watch this. Let me pull in on Google Earth here real quick, and then I'll join you to the program. This is Google Earth. This is where Charlie Kirk was. I'm going to submit to you that the officer was up here. I think he was on this Hall of Flags roof up here. I think I've looked at video and seen him up there. Look at all these different rooftops you have. You have this one over here on the top left, right here. I mean, you got this roof with access to Charlie Kirk. You have this roof, which makes way more sense. I mean, look at that, right on top of him, very close. You've got this roof over here with access to Charlie Kirk, this roof over here with access to Charlie Kirk. What makes you think it's this roof? And what makes you think it's this particular location on this roof? Why not this location down here? Why this location right up here? I mean, if we put ourselves in this position here, and if we move the heading around back here, and we lean in a little bit on this, and you're up here on this position right down in here, look at all these rooftops. You got all these rooftops that are at your disposal, all from the right, the center, the left. Why are you going all the way out there and saying, yep, that's got to be it. It's got to be this one way over here. Not this one closer. No, not this one. Can't be these over here. No, I got to rush to this spot right here. I'm going to rush to one particular spot. I got a sneaking suspicion that's where it is. So you're telling me you never laid eyes on the guy. You never saw him run off. You didn't see him take the squeeze. You weren't looking at him when you heard the big bang, but instinctively, officer, instinctively, you knew right where to go. That's remarkable police work, Columbo. That's the Perry Mason moment if I've ever seen one. That's remarkable. That's absolutely remarkable. I remind you of a text that came in that Sean Harpole discussed on the Sean Ryan show. Brian Harpole discussed on the Sean Ryan show. If I can get it to pull up. This text was purported to say one thing, and when we analyzed it on this program, we realized it actually said quite the opposite. But I will show it to you because I think it's important in light of what we just heard. This is, now we know, this is a text message between Dan Flood, Charlie's security guy, the guy who gave the baseball signal to Charlie's rear right. This is a text message between Dan Flood and the deputy chief of the Orem Police Department or Utah Valley University Police Department. Hello, Chief Long, says Dan Flood. We received this message today from the student group. Quote, there is student roof access pretty close to where CK will be set up at Utah Valley. And then it puts in parentheses which roof they're talking about. The Sorensen Student Center has a couple of staircases that go up to the walkways on the roof. Do you know what roof you cannot access from the Sorensen Student Center stairs? You cannot access the Losi Center. They are not connected. They are part of a different structure. So right here, the fact that Dan Flood is talking specifically about the Sorensen Student Center roof, he has ruled out that you're talking about the Losi Center roof. You're talking about one particular building and a walkway that actually wraps around behind Charlie Kirk. I'll show you that in a minute if you want to see it. And so the chief goes, you want access to the roof? That's the question that's standing here. I was told students have access above us. If this is true, it would be nice to either have it controlled access or allow one of my guys to be there as well if possible. So that's an either or. Can you either control the access or allow me to put one of my guys up there? They're not talking about the Sorensen Center. They're not talking about the Sorensen Center. They're talking about the roof we just looked at, the roof we were just behind. They're talking about this roof right here. This is the roof they're talking about. Charlie Kirk's tent was right here in this little, what looks like a home plate. This is the roof they're talking about. Right above them. You access that roof over here. This is the Sorensen Center he was talking about. And so what the student is saying is, hey, if you go into this big white building in the middle of the screen and you walk out on the patio, you can walk on the roof directly above where Charlie Kirk will be positioned. Can we have that not allow students back there? Can we get controlled access back there, or at least let us put one of our guys back there? And the guy says, sure, yeah, I got you. No sweat. I got you covered. And you know what? They did both. They did both. Not only did they control the access by putting police tape on either side of this and not letting students hang out above the tent, there was both a police officer and a TPUSA security guy up there. Both of those things happened. Both of those things happened. They got exactly everything they wanted. We know this because he said, I got you covered. And he said, thank you, sir. Even still, even though nobody talked about the Losi Center roof, even though nobody was thinking about the Losi Center roof, even still, the Utah Valley University police officer, upon hearing the bang, had a vantage point where he could see the Losi Center roof. He got it. He saw it. He didn't see the guy shoot and run off. He didn't see the big bang or whatever was going on over there allegedly, but he saw the roof and thought, that's the position. That's where it came from. I don't believe him. I think that's a lie. It's just an opinion, but I don't believe him. It doesn't make any sense to me. But they said he hustles over there. He hustles over there. He immediately hustles over there. The scanner says it didn't happen for 23 minutes. They didn't get on there. So he didn't rush that fast. They said he rushed right over there. It's 140 yards. It takes you 23 minutes to go 140 yards. It takes Usain Bolt about 13 seconds, maybe 14 seconds. I think I could moonwalk it in 23 minutes if I had to. Probably moonwalk it in half that. I could probably crab walk it backwards. You know, where you do all fours, but you're backwards. I could probably crab walk it backwards. I'm going to put it the over under at 7.5 minutes. I could probably forward roll my way all the way there. Like do somersaults all the way there. 9 minutes tops. Took this guy 23 minutes to get there. 23 minutes. Again, I don't know. I've not seen this officer. He might not be the fittest officer on the force. He could use a little off the couch, off the carbs in his life. I'm not sure. But that's a long time to take to get over there when you're rushing. It's 140 yards. Get back to my timeline here, ladies and gentlemen. Gotten askew. Oh, no, let me go back to the this real. Go back to the indictment. Oh gosh. Come on, grab it and go. There we go. Now we're cooking. Let me go back to my indictment. All right. So Tyler Robinson allegedly, or some guy in black allegedly, jumps onto the roof at 12:15. He's up there 8 minutes doing God knows what. At various times, Governor Cox at one time told us he was up there changing clothes. No kidding. The governor of the state of Utah suggested that whoever was on that roof changed clothes on the roof. That was actually stated by the governor of the great state of Utah. We're told perhaps he's up there assembling rifles. I don't know what he was doing up there. And now we're getting a little closer to the timeline. 11:51 a.m. He enters campus from the north. So let's go see what that looks like. And let's see if this timeline makes any sense. It's 11:51. He enters campus from the north. So let's go here. Let's share this tab. I'll show you where he was at all these different points in time, and you tell me if this makes sense. This is where he was in front of this house right here. He was right here in front of this house at 11:49. It takes him 2 minutes to walk this far right here. Because if you walk to right here, you've entered campus. This is the tunnel right here where we got the first image of him going into the tunnel. That's called entering campus. So he walks from here to the top of this screen down to this little windy, curvy road in 2 minutes. And then he makes his way all the way down, I guess, this path here. Maybe he comes around this way. We're not sure. But he makes his way all the way over here. What time does it say he makes it over there? At 11:53. By 11:53, he makes it over there. And then I don't know what he does from 11:53 to 12:15. Because he makes it to this building here at 11:53, and he doesn't appear on the roof until 12:15. So he's in the building doing something for 18 minutes. We're not sure what. There's no explanation given to us. We're just plebes. They don't care about us. And then he comes on the roof, and he spends 8 minutes on the roof doing God knows what. We don't know what he's doing up there. And then you hear the big bang at 12:23. So this is a little bit of, does this make any sense? Does this make any sense? So let's go back to the indictment here and let you see. Here's the 11:51 where he enters campus. He's seen wearing a black shirt with an American flag in its center, a dark baseball cap, and large sunglasses. This is the second outfit he's wearing of the day. He walks with a very little bending in his right leg, consistent with a rifle being hidden in his pants. I don't know how they know this is fact. You're only supposed to put in indictments things you can prove. I don't know if that's, I didn't look consistent with a rifle in his pants to me. And then it says the unusual gait continues until he is seen crossing the railing off the walkway and onto the roof, where he leaves the camera's view. You guys saw the images of him walking up the stairs, right? You remember both legs bent at different times in that image. One picture you can see his right leg bent, one picture you can see his left leg bent. Did anyone look at that and say, yep, looks like he got a rifle in his leg? No. No, nobody said that. Nobody said that. It's not something that happened. Not something that happened. So let me go back to the timeline. Go back to our good friends over at Who Killed CK and look at their timeline real fast, because I've gotten a little bit ahead of it because I've gotten exercised because I can't stand when law enforcement does this. They this timeline is not adding up. It doesn't make sense. So here he enters the campus. Here he's filmed climbing the parking garage stairs of the UVU campus. Shortly after that, the public event begins. And then we just read from the indictment how at 12:15 he crosses over the railing. And then we have here from the Governor Cox press conference where Tyler Robinson changed clothes before the shooting. So here's the quote. Yes. So when he's first spotted on the campus, he has on different clothing, and then he changes clothing on the roof and then changed back into that clothing at some point so that when he was apprehended, when he was arrested, the clothing matched the clothing he had on before the shooting. That man won an election. Someone voted for that guy. In fact, millions of people allegedly voted for this guy, or apparently, or at least hundreds of thousands. Wouldn't it make more sense, Governor Cox, if these were just different people? Rather than one guy changing clothes like 6 different times there, mismatching things. But anyway, now we have the Big Bang. I want to pause at the Big Bang for a second. We're going to come back to it. We're going to come back to that in just a moment. I want to open for you something we've updated. I could not figure out, because now we've got, we're switching timelines a little bit. We're switching timelines because up to this point, everything has happened before the Big Bang. Someone arrives on campus, he's limping. Someone's climbing stairs, they say he's got a gun in his pocket. Somebody's spending 8 minutes on the roof, we don't know what he's doing up there. There's an officer positioned up there, he just thinks he happens to see the perfect shooting perch, even though he allegedly saw nothing. Up to this point, everything's before. Now we hear the Big Bang. I want you to think about yourself being in Arizona at the moment of the Big Bang. I want you to think about the fact that you are in Arizona and you are a high-ranking official at TPUSA. How long would it take you to decide your next step? Because if you are at the TPUSA headquarters, for example, you're at the TPUSA headquarters in Phoenix, you're in this building. In fact, this is Turning Point Action right here. You are in Turning Point Action. I will show you where that is, and then we'll do a little search. Actually, let me do the search first. Switch these here. You've got to get 34 minutes away. Okay, so you are at Turning Point Action all the way down here. Let me pull it up now. You're at Turning Point Action down here. That's in this little industrial park. There's an In-N-Out Burger. We know how much Erika loves In-N-Out Burgers. It's close. Maybe that's why they selected this location. She can eat chocolate shakes and cheeseburgers. But you're at TPUSA Action. That's right here. That's this building right here. It's 12:23. Maybe you're watching it live. Maybe you just get your phone call and you hear, oh my gosh, Charlie Kirk, something's happened to him. Well, you're in Phoenix. How long does it take you to decide what you're going to do next? You got to assume it's at least 12:24 before you hear about it. And at 12:24, you have to think, well, gosh, is he okay? Maybe you're calling people. I got to know more about it. I'm texting. Maybe I'm looking at Twitter. You know, it's 10, 15 minutes, let's just say on average, I would guess, before you even realize, oh, he's really been hit hard and this is bad. This is not good at all. Maybe Mikey's called. Maybe Erika's called by now. So 10, 15 minutes go by. And you think to yourself, I should go. I should be there. I need to go to Provo. I need to go, not to Provo. I need to go to Orem. And you think the only way to get there quickly is to go to the airport. So you go to the Scottsdale airport. It doesn't matter which way you go. It's about 33 to 38 minutes. to the Scottsdale airport. But you got to get to your car. I mean, you can't just teleport to your car and teleport. You got to get to your car in the parking lot. You got to drive it. You got to warm it up. You got to drive out of the parking lot. You know, maybe you get a glass of water on your way out, but then you get on the interstate, you head up there. 33 to 38 minutes later, you show up at the airport, but you got to get inside a plane. The plane has to be chartered. Someone has to let them know you're coming. You have to know a plane is available. And then you have to get on the plane and make your way up there. Well, by the time you do that, I mean, hour and a half, maybe 2 hours before you can get on the plane. I mean, it just doesn't make sense to me that timeline could be compressed any shorter than that, unless there was already a plan in place to have a plane take off. But if there was already a plan in place to have the plane take off, then you would have been planning to go. You would have been planning to go. And so we've got a little bit of a bind here, because when we put the list of planes up the other day, we had a plane that we didn't know what to do with. It was a plane with the tail number N40JD. N40 Juliet Delta. I'm going to pull up an image here. We have now filled in who we think was on that plane. And I'll tell you why in just a moment. This is the N40 Juliet Delta plane, and I'm going to put Tyler Bowyer on that plane, and I'll tell you why in just a moment. But we have the Big Bang here, and there are only two planes after the Big Bang that go to Utah from Scottsdale. They go to Utah from Scottsdale. One is this N40JD. We previously had that empty. We didn't know what to do with it. The other one is this N102DZ that initially we thought Erika Kirk flew in on, but now we're thinking it might have been Andrew Colvett. But we know for a fact Tyler Bowyer was not on this plane, because they're telling us the official narrative, the Fed slop tells us Erika came in on this plane. I don't believe that. But even if Erika came in on that plane, we know they flew separately. We know Tyler Bowyer and Erika Kirk were not on the same plane. And if they weren't on the plane, then this plane is either occupied by Andrew or Erika. But it's not occupied by Tyler, because they tell us they're not on the same plane, Tyler and Erika, and they tell us Erika's on this plane, even though we disagree. Which means this is the only plane that could have carried Tyler. The only one. And it left Scottsdale at 1:27. 1 hour and 4 minutes after the Big Bang. Keep in mind, they are 33 to 38 minutes away. So what was Tyler doing in the run-up to the Big Bang? What was he doing that day? Did he go to Provo? Maybe he didn't go at all. Oh, no, he did. In fact, he told us he did. I have evidence of that right here. Here is Tyler Bowyer's statement from October 5, 2025. Quote, I, Tyler Bowyer, was scheduled to go on the show, meaning the Charlie Kirk show, I believe, on the day Charlie was assassinated, to follow up and defend against Gina's coordination. They're responding to this up here, but that's irrelevant. Why he was going. I never made it, as I flew up to be at the hospital. I flew up to be at the hospital. I think Gina owes everyone an apology. Certainly should not be using her positions to run for office or to get a job. Well, if he flew up to be at the hospital, then there's only one plane he could have taken. He 100% necessarily had to be on the plane we previously did not know who was on. He had to be on this N40JD plane. That has to be Tyler. We have looked at these flight records ad nauseum. I've tracked every plane in and out of Provo that day. This is the only airport you would fly into to get to the hospital. You wouldn't fly in, for example, to Salt Lake and drive down. That wouldn't make sense, I don't believe. You would fly into Provo. And you would fly in, not on N102DZ, you would fly in on this plane, which means he made plans very quickly and organized a charter flight nearly simultaneously, if I'm right. Again, this is opinion, this is speculation, this is all allegedly, but this is the only thing that makes sense to me. The only flight I can find that he could have been on. And so all the pieces begin falling in place. Now I can see who was on these planes. It's interesting to me that this second transponder comes on the moment this plane lands. This is the Egyptian plane that kept turning its transponder on and off, this SUBND, and it turned its transponder on at 229, which is precisely when this plane that I think may have had Tyler on it, potentially could have had others, maybe Stacy Sheridan. I don't know who else was on this plane, or if anyone else was on this plane. I just assume that Tyler's on this. I could be wrong, and I'm open to correction. I love correction because it means we're advancing the investigation. So if Tyler Bowyer was not on this plane and he wants to say what other plane he was on, I'm happy to review and evaluate and determine whether I think he's being honest. I don't take these people at their face value anymore. But this is the only plane he could have been on that I can tell is this plane right here, Scottsdale to Provo. And the reason I raise it and I'm making such a big deal about it is because I have a very hard time to believe. I have a very hard time believing you could make this flight if you didn't know it was going to happen. I have a nearly impossible time believing you could hear about the Big Bang at 12:23 and make it from the Phoenix headquarters to the Scottsdale, Arizona airport and get on a plane and have it take off. If you've ever been on a plane, they don't take off the second you board. They got to get clearance to take off. They got to talk to the tower. They've got to close the door. They've got to pressure up. They've got to do all the things that planes do before you can get airborne. And I don't think that's a possible flight pattern unless you knew in advance something was going to happen. Unless you knew in advance you were going to be there. And what time. I just don't believe it. But Baron, are you saying Tyler knew in advance? Tyler knew in advance that Charlie Kirk would be taken down at 12:23? No, I'm not saying that as a fact. I can't say that as a fact. I'm saying this evidence leads me to believe that certainly is a possibility that should be investigated and explored. And if I'm Tyler Robinson's defense team, if I am the Utah State Police or the FBI, this is a flight I want to investigate. I want to talk to the pilot. I want to talk to the airport. I want to look at the call records. I want to look at the booking records, and I want to see when the hell was this flight booked. I might want to ping Tyler's phone, look at his history, and see where he was at these times. Because that strikes me as an impossibly tight timeline. If you've ever been struck with tragedy out of the blue that you weren't expecting, I don't have to tell you this. If you've ever been struck with tragedy that you weren't expecting, you know you don't just immediately go, I should book a private jet and fly there. In fact, let me go ahead and do that on the way. I'm going to jump in my car and book the private jet on the way. Because that's almost, you would almost have to do it within the minute it happened in order for this timeline to work. It's a very, very tight timeline. I ask you, is it likely? Does it make sense? Or is it even possible? Is it even possible? Whoever was on that flight, is it even possible that they made the decision to get on that flight after the Big Bang? Is that even something that makes sense to you? 1 hour and 4 minutes later, when the headquarters of TPUSA is more than 30 minutes away, 33 to 38 minutes away. That's just to get there. That's not parking and walking in. That's not parking and running in. I don't care if you're Carl Lewis. It's going to be a long, you got to get out of the building. You got to get into your car. You got to throw it in reverse. You got to get out on the road. You got to, dodge traffic. You got to pull into a parking spot at the airport. I suppose he could have shown up without a bag. I mean, maybe he always has a packed bag at the office. I don't know. I don't know if he spent the night or if he flew back that night. I don't know. But that wasn't the only thing happening that afternoon. Believe it or not, that wasn't the only thing happening that afternoon. There was more. There was more. Does anyone know what time Charlie Kirk's body left the hospital? Does anybody know what time Charlie Kirk's body left the hospital? Because now we do. The Big Bang happened at 12:23. Took about 12 minutes to get to the hospital. Supposedly life-saving measures taken. May or may not have gotten a pulse back. At some point, they declare him dead. At 2:40, I think, is the first time it's announced that he passed away. The President of the United States announces he passes away. Strangely, the Prime Minister of a foreign country also nearly simultaneously announced he passed away. A very weird turn of events there, if I do say so myself. But after that, you've got a body that has to be processed. You've got to fill out paperwork. Got to do things. We have now noticed, and only 121 people have viewed this video, so I don't know where it's been hiding out online, but it's here. And we know this took place shortly after 8 o'clock p.m. Shortly after 8 o'clock p.m., we know it's still daylight here. Charlie's body was removed from the hospital in a motorcade. I have the image of it here. I have the video of it. Watch the motorcade pull out. There they go. They're lined up here, and they're all rolling out. Take a motorcade. And the way the camera follows this minivan, I tend to believe he might be in that minivan. I don't know if that's normal that you take a motorcade of 8 or 10 cars, whatever that is. I don't know if that's normal, that's how you move a body from Orem, Utah up to Salt Lake City. But that's the beginning of the afterwards. The beginning of the afterwards. So after that, at some point between that time of night and 10 a.m. in the morning, 8 p.m. at night and 10 a.m. in the morning, apparently an autopsy was done in that tight timeline. Because the body would have been turned over after the physician is done taking life-saving measures. After he's done and he says, oh, he's not going to make it, and he declares him dead, they clean up the body, they call, and then they turn it over to the medical examiner. And they drove it up to Salt Lake City because the next morning, it was like 10 a.m. the next morning that the body flew out back to Arizona. And so the autopsy had to be done in that window at some point. I don't know how long an autopsy takes. Is it a 30-minute? Is it an hour? Is it 2 hours? Is it 5 hours? I don't know. Is it normal that they work overnight to do an autopsy? Or is it more of a 9 to 5 thing? Is it normal that it's done in less than 24 hours before the burial? I don't know. But that's the timeline. That's the timeline. The body left at 2 p.m. on Air Force 2. Excuse me. I had the timeline a little wrong there. Body left at 2 p.m. on Air Force 2. So sometime between 8 p.m. at night and 2 p.m. the next day, the autopsy was done, presumably in Salt Lake City. And you have a this weird instance where Charlie Kirk gets basically a military send-off on Air Force Two that flies the body from Salt Lake City to Arizona. Once the body leaves Utah, the jurisdiction's done. Like, the investigation is over. The doctor is done. The medical examiner's done. They've declared they need no more access to the body. He's gone. He's left the state. There's an interesting comment here. I normally don't grab comments, but I want to mention this. There were 2 cars in there that grabbed my attention that I'm going to research. I did not seen this video until today. And there were 2 cars in that motorcade that I've seen in my satellite image searching. So I will be revisiting that motorcade again. I can assure you. I can promise you that's not the last time you'll see that motorcade. But let's just let the show play out how it plays out. All right. Let it play out how it plays out. But as I look at all this, I say, is this a timeline that makes sense to you? Is this a normal timeline that makes sense to you? Now, I want to show you because I want you to, I like this tool, and I think there's a lot to discover in this tool that you guys can bring to the investigation. But I want you to look at the timeline here and look at some of the other things that happen. Not getting bigger is it? No, the text isn't getting bigger. So at 12:23, you hear the bang. The necklace breaks and flies over his head. If you click on this, you can see an examination from Trigger Smart that did a great show with John Bray talking about the exploding mic, and they talked about the necklace breaking and how that would work. You have a shock wave and gas visible as his shirt expands out of the back and around his collar. I was on Jimmy Dore's show an hour and a half before I was on this show, or 2 hours today before I was on this show. Jimmy keyed in on a video. I'm not sure who did the video, actually. I should have asked him who did it. But he keyed in on somebody who had zoomed in on Charlie's right sleeve. It was excellent video. It was a good catch. His right sleeve puffed up as if gas was escaping from his right sleeve. I can't play this video because YouTube loses their mind every time I play any video. But if you go back to it and you watch it in slow motion from these different angles, you'll see what I'm talking about. Charlie's neck is still in the exact same place, and his shirt is 6 inches behind him, as if a rush of gas is trying to leave, a rush of air is trying to leave his shirt. His shirt sleeve, his right shirt sleeve, he was shot, remember, allegedly on his left neck. His right shirt sleeve puffs up. Well, that's weird. That's a really weird place. So we got this shockwave of gas visible. We have the shirt rapidly deforming, the magnetic clasp moving up and left. Then we have the wound appear in his neck, and it looks rectangular when you first see it. It does not look like a teeny tiny little bullet entrance. It looks like a gigantic rectangle or square appears in his neck. And he has this gush that comes out that is inconsistent with the way a bullet wound is. And then within 800 milliseconds, remember, less than 9/10 of a second, Mikey McCoy sashays off into the distance, hips just a swinging. The only guy in the entire facility that plugs his ears, allegedly plugs his ears. Now, if I wanted to talk on my phone, if I wanted to hear what someone was saying on my phone, I might plug the other ear so I can hear like this. That's a normal thing to do. This is I'll plug my ear over here and I'll put the phone up to my ear over here. And this is a very normal way in a very loud environment to hear what someone's saying. And I probably wouldn't want to be running because it's weird to run like this. You probably would want to walk so you can keep your phone to your head, right? I mean, think about it. This walking makes a lot more sense than running off. Because when you run, you swing your arms, particularly if you have as much movement in your hips as Mikey McCoy. But we're told he plugged his ears. He was not on the phone. And he didn't produce phone records to prove that. Instead, he produced a drafted timeline of who he allegedly called and when. And he was seen earlier with 2 phones in his hand. He was seen with 2 phones. I have that image. I can show that for you if you don't believe me. I'll go back to the timeline here because it's really good. I think it's an excellent timeline. After he sashays calmly away, you have the black fragmented object that hits the tent ceiling. You have the video capturing a person running across the rooftop seconds later. You have the video. You have 2 videos, really. One taken from inside the Hall of Flags above Charlie looking out, where you just captured it for just a second or two. And then you have the FBI clipped up, edited, zoomed in, zoomed out, paused, left, right, so that you can't see anything else going on around or the actual moment of impact or where he goes afterwards. You have this Fed slop video that gets released of him on the roof, and this says carrying a rifle. I saw no rifle. But if you want to say there's a rifle, then whatever. And then you get probably the weirdest moment that we had. You had
of himself. So let's watch that video.
They just shot Charlie. They just shot Charlie. They just shot Charlie. No. They just shot Charlie.
I love that. For effect, ladies and gentlemen. Up and to the left. I love that. That's my favorite part of that whole video. My favorite part of that whole video. But notice something. Notice how shockingly large that SUV is. It's huge. This is a monster vehicle. Now, Charlie's a big boy, don't get me wrong. But we're told by Frank Turek and Brian Harpo that Charlie was just too large to fit in this SUV. This is a full-size SUV. This is not like a Toyota RAV4. This is a huge vessel. Charlie's a big guy, but if he's dead, bend his knees, pull his legs in, and close the door. That was a weird thing we talked about yesterday. But the up and to the left was too weird. Maybe one more time for emphasis.
God help him.
Did he say God help me or help him? Can't remember which. But he said he's dead. He announces he's dead. He's the first one to announce Charlie's dead. I don't know how he knew it. I don't know how he was so confident, but he was. He was the most confident man there. Charlie is dead. God help either me or him. I'm not sure what you said. Now, we've got the George Zinn weirdness that happened nearly simultaneously with the Big Bang. He was arrested. We have the shrapnel, the fragmented black plastic that was on the SUV floor. This timeline says that the UVU officer climbs to the roof and finds the marking in the gravel 2 minutes later. I would suggest to the authors of this page that if you listen to the police scanner, that actually didn't happen until 12:47. 24 minutes after the fact. And then after Terrell Farnsworth does the absolutely wild video, he nearly immediately runs and grabs the SD card.
Let's at first address what many people have been emailing me constantly, asking me, Kent, you got to look into this. You got to look into this. Look at these 2 strange men. We're going to refer to this as Cameragate. It's Cameragate. And I want to say this, shout out to all of the internets. Then we'll get a bit closer. I know you guys have pulled apart this footage a million ways, and thank you for that. And here's the closer version of that. You can see, slowed down here, he pulls out the chair, he stands on it, and yes, that would be a big no-no for a crime scene. You don't move anything. He tracks down the camera that is directly above where Charlie was sitting and would be able to provide, therefore, a lot of insight. And then you can see he kind of sits the camera onto the desk, and it looks like he removes the SIM card from it, or the SD card, if you will, which we're watching right here.
Nothing shady about that. Notice how he looks around while he's doing it. Watch this. Is anyone watching me? Is anybody looking at me?
So
you got to tell your kids, right? If you're going to do something wrong, don't look around. You know, act like you're supposed to be doing it. Act like you're supposed to be doing it. Okay, back to the timeline here. Because 3.5 minutes afterwards, we're told Tyler Robinson's hiding the weapon in the bushes next to the chicken coop. Well, the problem with that is when the officers show up on the scene with canine dogs, they can't find a weapon. They don't find a weapon for hours after this. And they don't find the weapon until the FBI shows up. And then all of a sudden they walk right to it. Oh, it's right here, guys. It's in the towel. How'd you not see this? Oh, I don't know. I guess our dogs are stupid. I guess our dogs are incapable of performing their jobs adequately. Apparently, while he's in the bushes, he's changing clothes yet again. This is like outfit change number 4, I think. Charlie Kirk rushed to the hospital. Then you have this video footage of Tyler Robinson running across the, oh gosh, too many. This is the problem with this thing. Oh gosh, too many ads. We're not going to watch it all. You got this image of Tyler Robinson running across behind the house across the street from where Phil Lyman was. So it's just a really cool timeline. It's a really cool tool as you go through this. Of course, you have the weirdest moment. Let me share it again. Probably the weirdest moment of all time is the President of the United States and the Prime Minister of a foreign country simultaneously at 3:02 p.m. We must all pray for Charlie Kirk, who's been shot. A great guy from top to bottom. God bless him. That's the President of the United States, Donald J. Trump. Simultaneously at 3:02 p.m., the Prime Minister of a foreign country praying for Charlie Kirk. That's weird to me. I look at that and I think that's a weird set of facts. And then for no reason whatsoever, Tyler Robinson starts sending messages to his roommate. He says to his roommate, I intended to take this to my grave. Nevertheless, here's every detail that incriminates me and every detail that exonerates you. I'll put it all here in text to be found by law enforcement inevitably, where they will use it to hang me. Well, maybe literally in Utah. Maybe literally. So it's just a treasure trove of information sitting out there. And this is why I say it's blocking and tackling. Like, we spent a long time in this investigation really drilling down on particular items about Erika Kirk's life and her weird relationship with 15-year-old girls when she's in her mid-20s. We spent a whole episode on that. Her weird career path. We talked about Tyler Bowyer and Doge efforts. We talked about we've gotten, and I don't want to say, but we've gotten pretty far afoot from the facts of the case. We've begun attacking it collaterally. And I think the important thing too is let's come back to the day of the event. Let's go with fresh eyes. Now that we know all the backstory about what was going on in the Hamptons in early August, now that we know what was going on in Aspen in mid-August at the donors conference, now that we know all the pressure Charlie Kirk was under from his donors who are big fans of our greatest ally, now that we know all the pressure Charlie Kirk was under, telling people, because we didn't know all this at the time, where he's telling people I might be killed for changing my opinion on these. now that we know all this, let's go back and look at the timeline. Because originally we were looking at it and saying that doesn't look like it could be Tyler Robinson. Like, that doesn't make sense that he was changing clothes this many times. It doesn't make sense that he's, sending confessions in 19th century, literary prose to his 22-year-old allegedly furry roommate. I'm discarding that furry and trans segment. I don't buy that anymore. I don't believe it. I don't even know that they were lovers. I think they might have just been roommates playing Magic the Gathering and sitting around doing weird stuff. Not that that's weird for you guys who play that, but I'm over the believing anything they tell us anymore. I want to see evidence they were together that that evidence that doesn't consist of weird text messages written like Cary Grant. But I want to go back and look at the original blocking and tackling, but using everything we know now. Now that we know all of Erika Kirk's weird stuff, now that we know the weird flights in and out that day, now let's go back and look at the events of the day. We need to spend some time on this. Let's look at the events of the day and let's answer the question. Is it likely that the Fed slop narrative is true? Is it likely that all of this weird stuff is taking place? And while all of this weird stuff is taking place, and Charlie Kirk is telling people he thinks that his donors or maybe a foreign country might kill him, while all this stuff is taking place, some random guy that lives 4 hours away goes, I've had enough. Like, there was no evidence. We have seen not one piece of evidence that Tyler Robinson ever even had a single opinion on Charlie Kirk prior to September 10th. I've not seen a Facebook post. I've not seen a Twitter post. I've not heard a statement from a single friend. I've not heard any family members. Oh, Tyler Robinson, he would just sit around and rail against TPUSA. You know how he was. Nobody hated TPUSA more than him, and it was all about Charlie Kirk for him. And you can't say it's an alternative lifestyle thing. There are very few mainstream Republican leaders who are more favorable on that issue than Charlie Kirk. So favorable, he stocked the whole place with them. And so you have to look at the timeline and say, is it likely or is it even possible? Is it possible Tyler Bowyer could have been on that plane in time? If he was in that plane. If he wasn't, what plane was he on? How did you get there, Tyler? Tyler, how'd you get there? Just tell me. Put it on Twitter. I'd love to know. And if I'm wrong, I will make a correction. I will update our timeline, our plane timeline, and I will say, we've heard from Tyler Bowyer. He actually flew on a plane that, for whatever reason, didn't show up on the transponder records. Or he flew into Salt Lake City on a commercial flight that he happened to have booked already. It had to be private. He couldn't have possibly gotten there in time if it wasn't. But I'm open, Tyler. Where did you fly? How did you get there? What plane did you come in on? Because if you came in on N40JD, I got a lot of questions about whether you knew it was coming. A lot of questions. A ton of questions. And if so, just tell me when you booked it. Provide evidence. You got to pay for it. You got to have some kind of receipt. You've got to have an email. They'll send you an email receipt. Thank you for booking with XYZ Charter. What time did that email come in? Because it was only an hour and 3 minutes, hour and 4 minutes you had total. And 33 to 38 of that was you driving. When did you book the flight? When did you decide to go? I think we need to hear from the officer. How did you know to look at that particular roof? Where were you looking before? If that roof looked to you like a good sniper position, why didn't you have an eyeball on it? I mean, isn't that why you were in an elevated position? What were you supposed to be looking at? Everybody else that showed up seemed to be concerned about the roofs. Frank Turk was concerned about the roofs. Brian Harpole was concerned about the roofs. You're saying in your peace officer training, you did not learn that elevated positions were ideal places to take long-range shots at public figures? I mean, you seem to rely on some kind of training. As soon as you heard the bang, you immediately started scanning thinking, oh, it sounded like a gunshot. Let me look at sniper positions. I mean, you see what I'm saying, guys? It's just when you just barely push on the story, it's like a house of cards. It just comes down. It just goes away. It just is destroyed instantly. And you don't have to get into the fact that Erika Kirk is asking her roommate, well, I'm not even going to say it on the air because it's ugly, to do things to her. You don't have to get into the fact that Erika Kirk shacked up with multiple professional athletes all over the globe. You don't have to get into the fact that Erika Kirk had this weird charity in Romania that somehow was super successful and had 75 orphans, but didn't make any money and never raised more than $50,000 ever, so they didn't have to file any federal paperwork. We don't have to get into anything in Fort Huachuca. I think we could. I think we would be right to do so, but we don't have to. We don't have to. We don't have to get into any of that. All we have to do is look at the day of and say, does this story make sense? Is it likely? And if it's not likely, is it even possible? My conclusion is it's not possible. It's absolutely not possible that Tyler Robinson came in at 8 something in the morning and then left, I guess. They didn't say they saw him leave. They saw him come. Well, where did he go? How did he get off campus? Why didn't you put that in the indictment? You had a camera of him coming on campus. You obviously looked at all the cameras. When did he leave campus? Where did he go? Orem, Utah is eaten up with flock cameras. You should have seen him driving all over town. Apparently, shortly afterwards, about 15 minutes later, he drove to a strip mall. How did he get there so fast? Where did he park? What route did he take to walk in? I've looked everywhere I can on the satellite image that is from within the hour before the Big Bang. I see no car of his anywhere near campus. And I've looked about a mile in every direction. I've looked at literally thousands of cars, maybe 10,000 cars. I have not seen a single car of his. Where did he park? Was it in someone's garage? Because now we have accomplices. How did he get to it so quickly? So that he could take the shot, run into the bushes, change clothes, cover up the gun, hide it next to the chicken coop, get to his car, and then drive 6 miles downtown, across town, and be there in 15 minutes. Is that possible? Is that possible? That's not possible. Guys, it's just not possible. It doesn't make sense. Because 5 minutes, at 5 of those 15 minutes, he's in the bushes. He's right there next to campus. He's not in his car yet, and he's not driving across town yet. So how did he get there? How did Tyler Robinson get to the strip mall in 15 minutes? You've got to provide an explanation for that if you're going to convict this man. So you might as well go ahead and give it. Tell us how he did it. Tell us how he did it. I'm being told there's some confusion about the flights. So let me go through and explain this to you. Let me pull the flight paths back up here. And I will explain this multiple flights for you. Let me pull this window up. I don't want there to be any confusion here. Sorry. I hate that because I know it makes you guys as dizzy as it makes me. Let me run through this because this seems to be the hardest part for people to follow. These colors on the left matter. This green plane, all you got to know is green plane. You don't have to know about the tail number. Green plane is the plane that took Charlie to Salt Lake City from Scottsdale, Arizona. Yellow plane is a plane that flew from Scottsdale to Provo at 9 a.m. to 10:06 a.m. I am positing that Erika Kirk was on that flight. That's my opinion. I cannot state it with fact, but I do believe she was there. As she lands in Provo, Utah, in my opinion, this is the moment she lands in Provo, Utah. As this plane lands, the Egyptian plane that is parked outside of the hangar turns on its transponder for some reason for 90 minutes. That is further evidence to me that whoever flew in on this plane, this yellow plane, I got to stop touching the mouse. Whoever flew in on this yellow plane, this is further evidence that this person was somebody important. And that this Egyptian jet that was parked outside on the tarmac turned on its communication capabilities, powered up at that moment. When that plane landed, when the yellow plane landed, Egyptian plane powers up. When it powers up, it has satellite capabilities. It can do things, right? Now, yellow plane, after it drops off the person I believe is Erika in Provo, it has to reposition. Because for whatever reason, it flies from Provo to Santa Barbara. Well, there's only one person in Santa Barbara connected to this entire ordeal, and that's a guy named Andrew Colvett. So if you're going to go pick up Andrew Colvett, you would have to send a plane to Santa Barbara. This plane flies from Provo to Santa Barbara. So I'm assuming, in my opinion, it is a repositioning flight. It lands, and then boom, you have the Big Bang at 12:23. It lands at 12:12, and then the Big Bang at 12:23. After the Big Bang, 15 minutes or so after the Big Bang, that plane, the yellow plane, the same yellow plane that I believe took Erika in, the same yellow plane I believe repositioned to Santa Barbara, now takes Andrew not to Provo, Utah, but to Scottsdale, Arizona. I could not think for the life of me of why a plane would need to be going from Santa Barbara to Scottsdale after the Big Bang. There's only one person on the planet that I can think of would need to be on this plane, and that's Andrew Colvett. So I have posited that Andrew was on that flight. Might be wrong. I'm open to correction. Andrew, if you weren't on that flight, let me know where you were. Happy to make a change to this any day. Let me know where you were. Provide me some receipts. I'll be happy to update my chart. In the meantime, I'm putting Andrew there because that's my current opinion. That flight lands in Scottsdale, which is the headquarters of TPUSA. And then the next time Andrew gets on a flight, it is this green plane. Remember, this green plane took Charlie Kirk from Scottsdale to Salt Lake City. So when the green plane had to go pick someone up, it had to reposition. This is a repositioning flight from Salt Lake City to Scottsdale. And so after it repositions, it lands at 2:13, and then it takes back off. This is your green plane here. So we got, skip these purple and blue planes here. Green plane lands after its repositioning flight from Salt Lake City to Scottsdale, and we're told that's a repositioning flight. So that's not a supposition. We're told that is fact. Where my opinion differs from the official narrative is, that this bottom green flight down here, the one that's green that says Scottsdale to Provo from 2:30, this says 3:12, but I think it's actually 3:30. This green plane here, we're told Erika was on that flight. I do not believe it. I do not believe it. I believe that's Andrew. And I believe I have evidence to back that up. That's Andrew going from Scottsdale to Provo. So why is Andrew on two flights? Because someone had to be on the reposition flight in order for it to fly. Someone had to be on the N102DZ flight from Scottsdale to Provo in order for it to fly. Somebody probably had to bring Erika Kirk's phone in, so it looked like it was flying. You trust Andrew in that situation. He's your man. And that makes this yellow flight make sense because Scottsdale to Provo, Provo to Santa Barbara to Scottsdale, and then Scottsdale to Provo. So that is why Andrew is on more than one flight. Erika's on one flight early in the morning. She left after Charlie left. There's enough time here that Charlie's gone before she has to arrive at the airport, so he doesn't see her. After she lands, the reposition to Santa Barbara. Then Andrew boards in Santa Barbara, goes to Scottsdale, Andrew lands in Scottsdale at 1:44, and he jumps on. He lands in Scottsdale at 1:44, and he jumps on the green flight down here at 2:31, and lands an hour later in Provo, Utah. The reason I feel like that's accurate is because Andrew told Candace he fell into Erika's arms upon getting off the plane. That means Erika was already there. The only other flight that Andrew could have come in on is this Santa Barbara to Provo flight right here. And that didn't land till 4:36. Erika told us after landing, she immediately hustled to the airport. So she could not have been on that flight. She could not have been on this green plane, or she would not have been at the airport for Andrew to fall into her arms crying. So I have to put all this together. Again, guys, this is a high IQ outfit. We don't take things at face value. We examine them, we look at them, we test them, we synthesize all the data, and we come up with a story that makes more sense. We come up with a story that makes more sense. I believe Andrew fell into Erika's arms. I do. I take him at his word. Which means Erika did not fly in at 3:30 and go immediately to the hospital. So if Andrew's telling the truth, he fell into her arms, then Erika did not fly in on the 3:30 flight. She had to be there earlier, hiding out, which means Andrew had to be on the 3:30 flight. He could not have flown in on the 4:30 flight because Erika would have been gone. I put it together, and we have the story. Why do I believe he fell into Erika's arms? Because he told Candace that. That's what he told Candace. He fell into Erika's arms when he got off the plane. That's why I believe him. That's why I believe he did it. That is why I believe he did it. Why else would he have told her that? That's a fact that didn't need to be uttered if it wasn't true. Why would you create that fact if it's not true? I further believe it because Erika was then asked by Candace, was Andrew's wife on the plane with him? And she said she didn't know. Guys, these are private planes. They are small. You would come off at the same time. The reason she said she didn't know or couldn't provide an answer at that time was because they didn't plan for the ask. No one briefed her, in my opinion, this is my opinion, no one briefed Erika on the answer to that question. So Erika didn't know how to answer that question. And she didn't want to be tied down to an answer. Because if she says, yes, Andrew's wife was on that plane, and then Andrew's wife or Andrew later said they flew in separately, well, now you've tied her down. She's lied. If she says, no, they were on separate planes, and it turns out they were together, she's got caught lying. If she says, yeah, they were together, and it turns out they were on separate planes, she's gotten caught lying. So she can't answer. If you ask someone an easy question like that while you're doing an investigation and they can't answer, you red flags should be going off everywhere. I believe we have the timeline right. I am open to correction, but only with evidence. Only with evidence. If Andrew wants me to correct this timeline, I will be happy to do so upon the presentation of evidence. Otherwise, I have my opinion and it's not changing. If Andrew's wife wants me to update the timeline, I'm open to doing it. Provide me the evidence. I will be happy to update this timeline. I will publish it. If Tyler wants me to update this timeline, I will be happy to do it, but I need evidence. I'll be and again, I'm not being snarky saying they'll never provide evidence. I will be happy to do it. But you can't just tell me. You've got to give me the evidence that you're right. Because you can't book a flight like this without an email. You'll have the email. And dare I say, the longer you go without producing an email, the more convinced I am I'm right. It's almost like when Erika was alleged to have been at Fort Huachuca and has still not produced an alibi. The longer you go without producing an alibi, the more I'm convinced I'm right. Now, let me make one conclusion, if I am right. If all this timeline is right, let me make one conclusion here. They're screwed. They're guilty. If I'm right. If I'm right, they are guilty. Because there's absolutely no reason to lie about when you arrived. None. There's no reason to lie about your timeline and when you arrived in Provo, Utah, unless you were involved. And I believe there's evidence they're lying. The evidence, in my opinion, suggests they're not telling the truth. I am open to correction. I'm not definitively stating they're liars. I'm not definitively stating they were at these places. But I cannot resolve Andrew's statement any other way on these flights. I cannot resolve Erika's unwillingness or inability to answer the question about Andrew's wife any other way. The only way I can resolve it. I also don't believe the cop. Sorry. I don't believe the cop that he just let a shooter hang out on the roof up there while he was in an elevated position, didn't see him for 8 minutes, but immediately knew where he was upon hearing a gunshot. I don't believe it. Nope, sorry. My opinion, that doesn't add up. That stinks. I also don't believe Tyler Robinson came and went from the campus in 4 different sets of clothes. I think that's ludicrous. I also don't believe the timeline supports Tyler Robinson being able to get off the roof, go to the chicken coop, hide the gun, change clothes, get to his car, and get across town in under 15 minutes. I don't buy it. I refuse to believe it. I refuse to believe it. So you guys want me to buy the Fed slop narrative? Produce some evidence. Produce some evidence. I'll change my mind. I will be the biggest Fed slop pusher in America if you produce some evidence it's accurate. There'll be no better Fed slop pusher than your humble host. I will shovel the Fed slop. I will back a Brinks truck up full of Fed slop and start shoving it down people's throats. Just give me the evidence. I will be the Jack Posobiec of YouTube. I will be so Fed sloppy, I'll be covered in Fed slop, head to toe. I'll have to be like Tyler Robinson, change clothes 4 times a day because there's Fed slop all over me. Oh, man, Fed slop again? Ugh. Every time I turn around, I'm spilling Fed slop all over the place. Every time. Happens every time. All right. We've got some cash from Dom's husband. From Dom's husband, without him knowing, Dom is clicking buy and send, donating to your mother's donations for the Tylenol kids. Hi, Baron's mom, nice, humble, and cool 21-year-old you raised. Huh? I'm older than 21, young lady. Far older than that. Far, far, far older. Holy mackerel. Thank you. And you didn't even say anything with it. Well, thank you. Thank you. Hey, brother, finally had a moment to respond on why I believe Catholicism is counterfeit. Please watch when you can. Call no man your father, for you have one which is in heaven, using scripture. Love you, man. I've seen 1,000 of those. I doubt yours is original, but I'll be happy to look at it if you email it to me and it's short. If it's longer than 2 minutes, I'm not reading it. I'm not watching it. But thank you. Thank you. If it's what's up with these 99 sinners with no language? I feel like you guys are arguing with each other in the chat over there. doTERRA is an MLM that makes essential oils. Young Living also makes essential oils in Utah. Sued DT, claiming their top 5 execs left YouTube, YT to start DT and stole the trade secrets. Very scandalous several years ago. Duly noted. Duly noted. Was the thing broken? Why is nobody giving any can't wait for the show to go back. This must have all been done before the show. Well, thank you guys. Thank you. Look at this. Nobody's saying anything. Proceed maximum. I goeth to thy max. 1 Adam 12, 1 Adam 12. 211 in progress. 1 Adam 12, handle code 3. This was the standard for radio dispatch. What's happened to the current crop? All mumbles. Yeah, because now it's a 1 Adam 12, 1 Adam 12, 12, 11 in progress, 1 Adam 12, handle code 3. End of broadcast, 212. That's what it sounds like now. That's what it sounds like. Wanting hubby to quit drinking, how to encourage him. There's a joke here. I'm not going to tell it. But I bet you can figure it out. I don't know. I'll say this. Everyone I know who's given it up for good finally had to make the decision for themselves. But yeah. Behavioral therapy, you reward for compliant behavior. I hear it's effective. Please watch Blake Neff's retelling and saying, I put that phone away. Why did he have 2 phones? Mikey McCoy was holding 2 phones. Now, he could have been holding someone else's. I'm not saying they're both Mikey McCoys. But I know exactly what you're talking about. Do you know what happened to Dan Flood and Brian Harpole? Dan Flood got a raise, allegedly. That's what the rumor is. That's the rumor. Dan Flood got a raise. I think Brian Harpole is no longer part of the team. And he may or may not be under threat of litigation. How long did they remain working with TPUSA? Brian Harpole, I think a month or so, maybe a little more. Dan Flood is very much employed, I believe. If so, when? Why hasn't EK sued them for lies and or malpractice? God bless. I think she might be considering one. AD Fleet is a she. I've been told as much. Is this new software you're using from a Lori Francevay 8A owned company? No, not at all. Love your show. Glad you covered dispatch recordings. I heard several of these within the first 24 hours. Wondered where they went. What about guy in black tactical that got pulled over for fleeing scene and was let go after flashing FBI badge? I don't think there's a dispatch recording to support that. I think that was a Candace tip, but I don't know where she got it. I don't know where I could go look that up. But thanks for that. Daiquiri Ice hoodie for the win. Yes. Those who watched Jimmy Dore this afternoon got a sneak peek because I had it on there. And I thought about changing. I was like, no, I'm not petty. Last time I asked you to take your kids to 31 flavors. This time, please treat the mods as they are the best. They are the best. And we did take our kids to 31 flavors. The kids were treated. I don't think any of them got daiquiri ice, but they did go. Maybe they did. Mrs. Coleman told me what they got, and I can't remember. But Baron, have you checked to see if Gary from Paramount Tactical was the same Green Beret group as Qureshi brother? No, I've not. Why do you think Erika and TR know each other? I don't. Did I say they did? I didn't say that. Way to go, Max. This week has been awesome. I don't believe I said that. If I did, I don't recall saying. How long ago did your Bluetooth phone issue start? Okay, so this was what Mitch Snow was talking about. It wasn't a Bluetooth phone issue, and I'll go ahead and say it now because it's resolved. So these speakers behind me, you can't see them. You can see that one. There's one on the other side over here as well. They're Bluetooth speakers. But they're one of the kind that connect to your phone a lot when you're not expecting it. So I'll be in the other room and I'm trying to listen to a podcast or something. I'm cranking it up and I hear it coming out of this room. So I disconnect it. I forget the device every time, then I reconnect every time. So I'm in my office a lot, pulling up the Bluetooth menu because I do listen to those, not daily, but most days of the week. I'll turn those on, listen to some music, some background. I like Bach. I'm a big Bach guy. I like Tchaikovsky. Vivaldi, huge Four Seasons fan. Greatest production of all time. But I also like, modern music and music of when I was growing up. So I listen to a lot of music. I like music. And I listen to podcasts on it. And so I'm constantly looking at the Bluetooth menu to find those speakers. And I noticed a couple of weeks ago, I don't know, maybe it's 10 days ago or so, I noticed there was a Bluetooth device I didn't recognize on there. And I thought, that's weird. And so Mitch Snow had contacted me about something different. And I mentioned it to him. I was like, hey, there's this Bluetooth device in my office I don't recognize. And he's like, here's how you find it. And he talked me through how to triangulate it with 2 different phones. And I was able to, and I was able to isolate it to this area. But the next day it was gone. It went away. Now, I don't know if it was some Bluetooth thing that died. I don't know if it was like a bug. But I looked at all my plugs. Nothing was plugged in back here. But I know it wasn't out there. And I know it wasn't over there. And I know it wasn't out there. Because I was able to kind of triangulate it to this area in here. And I know none of my other equipment is Bluetooth. So I didn't know what it was. That's what he was talking about in the comments. But it's gone now. I checked it today, as a matter of fact. It's not here. So it's not Bluetooth issues on my phone. It's a Bluetooth device that was pinging out of my office. I realize this may be off topic, but the August 12th gravity thing is starting to be a thing. What are your thoughts? I have no idea what you're talking about. It's obviously not that big of a thing. Moment, your favorite podcaster likes your comment on X. You made this 60-year-old grandma's day. Thank you, and Jesus loves you. I didn't know I did that. I don't like a lot of comments on X, so it must have been a good one. Must have been a good one. Baron, first super ever hospital Charlie Kirk was taken to is level 3, trauma level 3. No on-site trauma surgeon, 24/7. UV hospital is trauma level 1 and closer to campus. That's the rumor. I've heard all that. Wait, what? Sent you an email watching your stream from yesterday. Lori Fransby has another daughter named Erika Hammond, who's married. Clip that. This is a good time to mention this. One of the things that I get a lot of, my email inbox is full of AI slop. And I don't know if that's what that is or if there's something to that. But I get a whole lot of people that tell me crazy stuff. Do you know so-and-so did this? And I'm like, and I start looking into it. I'm like, there's not even a shred of evidence. And then I go back to the email and start looking at it. I'm like, that's Chat GPT slop. I know the bullet points. I know the type of speech pattern. I mean, that's slop. And I don't know why these things hallucinate the way they do, but these programs are dangerous. Anytime you look at something on one of these AI programs, Chat GPT, Claude, whatever any of the other ones are out there, Grok, check the facts. After it tells you something crazy, like, and I'm just guessing that's where you got that. I don't know. Maybe it's true. Maybe it's true. But I'm guessing it's not true. But after you get something like that and you say, she has another daughter named so-and-so, follow it up and say, give me a link that supports what you just said. And then open the link and say, is this a credible link? Or is this like some loon bat? But maybe there's a kid named Erika Hammond. I've never heard of it. Baron, people close to me are pro Philly, pro Erika, pro FBI when it comes to OJE. They think I am a conspiracy theorist and antiseptic. Any advice to bridge that gap? Yeah, just keep being right. Just keep being right. I mean, that's, whatever. Just don't worry about it. Your job is not to convince everyone. Your job is just to be honest, be right. You know what a conspiracy theorist is just early. We just know the news before they do. That's all it is. George Webb taking your timeline work as his own. I haven't noticed. You're in charge. How do you defend Tyler Robinson? I've had a lot of people ask this. I'm not ready to answer that yet. One thing I would do is key in on this timeline. The timeline is just slop. B, got to save those super chat characters. Haha. Might a wonderful death suit brought by surviving family members of the AES explosion unearth valuable and possibly connected info? I would think so. I absolutely would think so. I hope they consider it. Baron, it just clicked. They infiltrated TP and Trump used TP to get elected. Convenient partnership. He has to help cover it up, including Einstein. I'm sure you came to that end already, allegedly. It's definitely been infiltrated. I mean, I'm with you there. No doubt about it. Just saying, hey, keep fighting for the truth, and I enjoy your show. Well, I enjoy your comment, and I will do that. You keep fighting. 80 Fleet asked for prayers for her health during Coach Collins' show. Please surround her. I did not know that. I do reach out to her for prayers. Absolutely. Looks like Adius made a video with you. Love the show. I watched since I found your show in September. YouTube wouldn't allow me to post a link to the video by Miss Fleet. Oh, 80 Fleet. Keep up your great work. You're spot on. Yeah, she's made a few with your humble host in it, and they're always fantastic. She's a great artist. Very creative and very funny. Sir Baron of the Realm, my birthday was 2/18. Best Pressy was a RBP membership. Jesus loves you, too. Well, sounds like a fantastic gift. Our member page is wild. I haven't decided if I'm going to do a member show tomorrow or a regular show tomorrow. I want to do one more member show this week because I don't know. It may be over the weekend. I don't know. I don't want to wait until Tuesday to do the member show to talk about the moons and everything. I've been doing my research, guys. I got my note cards ready. We're going to have fun on that show. It's going to get weird. And y'all are going to either think I'm nuts or we're going to learn a lot together. Either way. Just felt like buying a super chat. I encourage that sort of profligate behavior. 500 Swedish krona. Is that what it's called? A krona? Thank you for that, by the way. I have no idea what that equates to, but thank you. It's purple. I know that. Hi, Baron. This is a small contribution for all you do for us. Charlie made me a believer again, and you consolidated. Thanks, Christ is King. Christ is King indeed. And thank you. Yeah, this is a group effort, and we're gonna get. Let me again, another topping off point here. I had a good conversation with somebody, with my wife, about where does this investigation go? Because everybody says, are we going to solve it? Are we going to solve it? Are we going to solve it? I think so. I mean, I think we're going to get an answer. But then the inevitable follow-up question is, it raises the question, is that going to impact the trial? Are the people going to be held accountable? And we may never solve it. I don't know. I mean, I think we're getting close. I really think we're turning some stones here that are providing some pretty significant evidence here lately, particularly the last couple of weeks. And I cannot wait to see Candace come back next week and just waylay. But here's, I think, the more important exercise that we're doing. We have to be able to attack the next time something like this happens in an orderly, coordinated, sophisticated assault. Just like we've done here, but it's taken us months to ramp up. We don't have months every time. We need to put more pressure on them to stop this crap. We have to get going the second it happens. And the more they realize they can't pull these things anymore, it might stop. Or at least they'll be held accountable. Think of all the evidence we let disappear that we would love to have now. Next time we won't. Did I know that a book was written in 1898 called Wreck of the Titan? It actually predicted the sinking of the Titanic. Makes you think things that make you go, almost as if they do this on purpose. I did know about that. It's almost as weird as Jesse on Fire talking about the movie, the Snake Eyes movie. He's missing a fact. Jesse, you're missing a key fact. Your stories are great, and I'm following it, and I'm watching everyone. I watched it today when it came out. I'm watching them all. But you're missing a key fact. Of all these parallels, one of the keys, I think, what was the guy's name who played Lieutenant Dan? Can't think of his name. Oh gosh, what was his name? Oh, Gary Sinise. I said Steve Scalise earlier. I knew that wasn't right. Gary Sinise was in the movie Snake Eyes. Stacey Sheridan worked for Gary Sinise. Jesse, if you're going to put all that other stuff in there, drop it in your timeline, brother. I want to see it show up. Go down the Titanic rabbit hole. It was the Titanic that sank. I always heard it was the Olympia that sank. I didn't even address that in my timeline, but I've gone down that rabbit hole. This was my first ever super chat. This is the first ever time reading your super chat. I've just been waiting to say, Baron, I really appreciate you. I will likely be asleep by the time you read this, but I will listen to the stream tomorrow at work. Christ is King. Christ is King indeed. Heraclitus 6100. Thank you. You're saying Merle Haggard is CIA? Then I take back everything I've ever said. Merle's great. Thank you for all your hard work. Can you please address the photo you told us 2 months ago you possess? McClintock that proves CK was not killed by a gunshot. So we will be able to see it, please. I did not say it proved he was not killed by a gunshot. I suggested that it showed injuries inconsistent with what we've been told. And when the time is right, we will hear more about that. When the time is right, we will hear more about that. Have some patience, please. Have some patience, please. There's a reason I don't want to say any more about it at this time. There's a reason I don't want to say any more about it, because it's a good vetting tool for me. When I talk to people who claim to have seen things, it's a good vetting tool for me. But I will. We'll get to it one day. I promise you we'll get to it. I went back and why did Brian Harpole say they chose the much closer hospital? Because he lies. Allegedly. Allegedly he lies. Outfit of the day yesterday. If it weren't for common sense, she'd have no sense at all. I just say things. Go Max. Thank you for normalizing talking about Christ. Well, you're welcome. I'm just me. We paid some Etsy witches to curse CK. Erika first post on X. The Ephesians was posted at the exact same time, same day. That's what someone was trying to point. Oh. I see what you're saying. Well, that's an interesting fact. Yeah, because I went back looking at the Ephesians. I couldn't find it. That opening was so good to hear. So good, yet so heartbreaking. When we were in Belfast, we saw the Titanic experience. The huge yellow cranes are still there in the shipyard. Thank you for sharing the experience of those poor people. Christ is King of Kings. That'd be cool. That'd be a cool experience. Titanic experience. I was a young boy when they discovered the Titanic, like in the mid 80s. And it was, all new, the brand new images, and watching the old people like, oh my gosh, because they'd heard about it, obviously, but they'd never seen it. And when they finally had a submersible that could get down there with imagery and they finally went to the right spot, it was sort of a wild moment because the thing had been in the sea for like 75 years when they found it or something like that. Baron, you are a gift. Appreciate all your good work. Much respect. God bless you and yours. Well, thank you. You're a gift. God bless you and yours, Laura Frank. Hi, Baron. Just wanted to say how much I appreciate what you and Candace are doing. I know exactly how Candace feels. My brother was violently murdered in 1991. We couldn't even have an open casket. Oh, my gosh. That sounds horrific. Gosh, that sounds horrific. I'm sorry to hear that. Thank you for sharing that. But Baron, I have to ask you this. You're a lawyer. That's true. Question over. I don't answer any other ones. If you don't make it to heaven, receiving infinite punishment for finite crime. That's not a question. That's a statement. It's a conditional statement, but it's a statement. Are you asking if that's just? I suggest it is. I'm Irish transplant, Chicago, from Derry, Belfast. My family worked at Howland and Wolff on the Titanic Olympic. The family lore says that the workers knew they cut corners and tried to tell the board. Ooh, family lore indeed. Yeah, it was the Olympic. That's the Olympic, Olympia, something like that. At the Olympic, that's what. That's the rumor, and I've looked at it. It's a pretty wild story. We used your live stream to test a digital backup communication device. No cell phones or satellites or phone lines used. We sent stickers to say thanks for being our demo. Keep bringing the heat. I don't know what any of that means. Those were some fancy words you just used there. Digital backup communication device. Glad I could be of service. always wonder if, like, this is weird. This is how my brain works. I always wonder if, like, our consciousness transcends our bodies. And if so, if it's like a wave of some sort, is it finite or is it infinite? So does this is a little preview of what you get on the members chat. So if our consciousness, in other words, if we're a receiver and we receive our consciousness instead of transmit our consciousness, or if we transmit it, but it's not bound by the form of our body. So either way, there would be these conscience waves, right? Or these conscience something going on. Is it finite or is it infinite? In other words, does it dissipate with distance like a radio wave does, or does it just keep going on forever because it's not bound by space and time? And if it keeps going on forever, it raises the possibility, if there is intelligent life out there, that consciousness would eventually drift by them. And if they had sensitive enough equipment, they'd be able to pick it up. And that's kind of the idea behind potentially being able to read the thoughts of someone else in the room. You get in tune with somebody and you can finish each other's sentences and you know when they're coming home and all that kind of stuff. They've proven dogs can do this. They know when the owners are coming home. And so I put too much thought into this, way too much time. Don't put as much as I have. But it raised the issue to me that there could be intelligent life out there that one day, whether it's 1,000,000 years, 1,000,000,000 years, 100 billion years from now, my consciousness wafts past them. And they have developed, they're sufficiently advanced that they develop technology to be able to interpret that consciousness or read it or hear it. And they would be stunned because what goes on in my head is not normal. And I'm afraid they would receive this transmission and be like, what is going on where this guy came from? What does he think about? Why would his brain work this way? This is what I think about during the day. I apologize, ladies. My dad listened to Rush Limbaugh on talk radio 24/7. He passed away several months after Rush. I think he didn't want to live in a world without him. You remind me a lot of Rush. Makes me miss my daddy so much. 5 years clean and sober. Mad respect. Mad respect to you for 5 years. I'm at 3 years and 2 months and 22 days, something like that. So I'm a little behind you, but I'm on my way. Lord willing and the creeks don't rise, I'll get there. Sorry for your loss, but glad I can provide you potentially a little. I can't tell if you're telling me it makes you sad to listen to me, in which case I feel terrible. But thank you for the generous contribution. I've heard 3 major politicians that stood in the way of the Federal Reserve creation died on the Titanic in 1912. Their passing removed only barriers to create the Fed the next year. I too have heard that. I haven't looked into it much, but I have heard it. Baron, you're the GOAT. My girl Maddie and I love you. She put me on and we watch you every day. Thank you. Oh, Maddie. Look at Maddie out there. I need more Maddies. All you Maddies out there, go get your mom on board or your dad. Can't tell what you are. It's too small. Get your parents on board or your this could be a spousal situation. It could be a boyfriend. Maddies. I need Maddies just come on, guys. Just tell people. Gary, a world record foremost blinks under 30 seconds. Yeah, it was bananas. Much love to the Coleman family. Appreciate the hard work, Baron and Daisy. Daisy doesn't get enough credit. Daisy works so hard to help this program get up and running. Daisy was in the middle of the program dropping me notes in the spreadsheet we were using. So thank you. Thank you for that. And thank you for acknowledging her as well. Someone faked old tweets on Jill's 15-year-old X feed to boost EK, but I believe it required backdoor access to X. I think they got paid for it. Tagged you in the vid. Gary may be connected. All right. If you tag me in something on X, there's a almost 0% chance I'm going to see it. So if you want me to see something, realbaronpodcast@gmail.com. That email now is pretty much up to date daily. So realbaronpodcast@gmail.com is the way to get in touch with me. Tagging me on X is never going to accomplish. Oh, thank you. Hold on. Gary's using hold, please. Oh, Coach is using hold, please. Oh, we've got a problem already. Watch this, Coach. How you like them apples? Huh? How you like that? You know what's funny? I said something about Coach at 80 Fleet or Ad Fleet. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. Commented yesterday and said, or somebody commented and said, Coach said I was 67 years old. And I acted all offended. And I said, well, Coach wasn't as big as 80 Fleet makes him look. And he wasn't all swole like that. And he might even be a little chubby. And that he pays 80 Fleet to make him look swole. Someone thought I was being serious and either commented or emailed, I can't remember which, and was like, I can't believe you did that. That was so rude. And I'm like, oh my gosh. If anybody on earth would think that's hilarious, it's him. Oh gosh. The confidence in your craft sets you aside from the rest. It's real and it cuts through the screens we are watching from. Well, thank you, KT Bliss. I'm confident because I think I'm right. Otherwise, I'd be sheepish. Thank you. I appreciate that compliment. That was very kind. Congratulations on the vindication. I was excited when I saw it too. Megyn, your friend Charlie Kirk would like you to do some additional Google Trend searching. Hi, Baron. Hi, something. Gamer God. Shouldn't have said that out loud. I got to go to confession. Hi, Baron. Once the CK investigation is solved with the right person in custody, would you consider deep diving again in the Butler shooting or another unsolved high-profile case? Thank you. So I think I've shared before that I did do a deep dive into Butler. This is before you guys knew who I was. And I got spooked and stopped. And I think I will probably sit that one out because I got spooked and stopped. I discovered some things that disturbed me beyond anything that I had previously discovered. And so one day I thought, close that window, put the mouse down, laptop down, internet machine off. Let's go for a walk. And I was just done. I hadn't looked at it since. The last day I looked at the Butler shooting. I walked out of here and have not opened it up since. That was a while ago. So that I don't know that you'll see me doing that one, but I would like to do some deep dives on some other stuff. Happy to do that. Google released a statement that those trends are not reliable. Of course they did. That's ludicrous. They're absolutely reliable. It's their database of their searches that they're claiming came from those locations on those dates. What's not reliable about that? That's nonsense. Cited privacy reasons. I don't believe that. Oh, good. Phew. I thought I was dealing with Joe. My first thought was they're using the Nancy G case to discredit Barron. Ooh. Well, it's not working. They failed. Glad you brought up Megyn K. I got so frustrated with her pushing Fed slop on Charlie Kirk investigation that in November, December, I sent her an email with links to yours and Candace Owens' shows over her coverage and put links of your podcast on her ex. Thank you. I hope she saw them. Tears of joy. You are loved and watching program grow. Program grow has been an honor. You brought us all together and built a special community. Congrats. Hey, the community's great. The number one thing I think I love the most, someone asked me, what do you love the most about doing the show? I was like, reading the chats after the show's over. I go back and read them, like scroll through the live chat. The community's fantastic. You guys take care of each other, pray for each other, celebrate each other's recovery, celebrate each other going back to church. Oh, hey, I went back to, I grew up at the First Baptist Church. I hadn't darkened the door in that place in 23 years, and my mom's been asking me to go. And last week I went back with her. We sat on the third pew. Oh, that's so wonderful. I mean, you guys are just like celebrating victories that are improving yourselves, making your lives better, becoming better people. And it's been great on my end to get to celebrate with you after the show. I go back and watch those. And I'm so thankful you guys share those with me. I'm curious. I've been vocal about certain state U.S. ally, and sometimes my name has spikes to 100 on Google Trends in said state and U.S. and UK. Am I the only one with my name in the world? You're the only one with your name in the world? What does that 100 mean? Okay. It could mean a couple things. One is it could mean you're not searching properly with brackets or with quotes. Use the quotes to narrow down that it's actually your name. Then do this. Take your name and put it on some kind of isolated timeline, like a 2 month, 3 month, 5 month, 6 month, whatever it is. Find a timeline where there's a spike in there. Now hold that timeline and do it over multiple years. So if you find that June 6th or June 1 to December 1, and you got a spike or two in there, hold that and go do it over multiple years on that same time frame. So if it spiked June 1 to December 1, 2025, go back and look at that same time frame, 24, 23, 22, 21, 20, 19, 18. If you keep seeing a spike, what you've uncovered is some sort of noise for whatever reason it's hitting. That's one thing you can do. The first thing is quotes. That's the biggest mistake people make because it's just you're broadening the search too much and it's becoming basically useless. If you do those two things and you still are only getting a spike after certain events here recently, you may be onto something. But I would bet that probably goes away if I had to guess. Thank you. $50. Oh, but what does 100 mean? Sorry. 100 just means it's the most. 100 could be 3 searches or 100 could be 3 million searches. It's indexed to 100, meaning that's the most searches on any day in the time period you've set as the parameter. So if the most your name was searched was 5 times, then that'll be set at 100. If somebody searched you 1 time, it'll be 20. If they search you 1,000 times, it'll still only be 100. But that 5 might not even show up. Does that make sense? I hope it makes sense. Thanks again. Maybe I'm slow, but it seems highly believable that EK and CK fought the night before CK's unaliving. If EK went to the meeting at the Hamptons and made some sort of stand using marriage as leverage. I don't know about that last part, but I think the fight the night before is highly likely. I think it's highly likely. Have you talked to Candace about her Erika series? I have not. Who's here? Go IU. My 15-year-old daughter wants to be a lawyer. How is IU's legal program? Well, that's where I went. I went to IU Bloomington for law school. It's fantastic. Had a great time. They're a beautiful campus. There's no better town in the world for food, by the way. I was eating Tibetan food one day, Afghani food one day, Indian food one day, Italian food, Pakistani food, Irish food, French food, like all within 2 blocks of the law school. It's amazing. Like I bet you there's 50 different ethnicity foods within 6 blocks of the law school. The nightlife's cool there. It's a safe campus. It's a cool small town. It's a great environment. It's fantastic. I wonder if they deleted the old podcasts of CK's when WKCK started their investigation. At first, it was just 6 months, but then it became all of them. I used to listen to the older ones before the bang. Yeah, they have deleted a lot. I don't know why. I don't understand why. A while back, Billy and Brandy said they got a tip. A doctor who worked at Timpanogos Hospital was called early the morning 9:10 and told all the surgery were canceled for the day and didn't come in. Any new info? No. Hold, please. I will get to the bottom of this. Texting now. I need a follow-up. Ladies. Need a follow-up. Hold on. Attach picture. Need a follow-up. Watch this because it's medical. Stat. That's great. They're on vacation or something, or on a work trip, so somebody's going to get irritated. I sent you a video on February 4th of Tyler and the Charger. It was in the morning that day. He is wearing the same clothing that he had on at the Dairy Queen. He parked the car and walked down the street. Look into it. Please use your satellite. I saw the video of him walking down the street. I didn't see him park the Charger. I saw a video of a Charger on campus, but it was not his, or Challenger rather, whatever it was. I'll look at it if I still have it. Maybe send it again. Can you send it again? RealBaronPodcast@gmail.com. It'll float to the top. Satan Yahoo. I don't know why that tickled me. Ordered it in Philadelphia. Henceforth, be called Jacob because they're acting like they never met God. Ooh, interesting. They worship in the, wow. If I say that, I'll get in trouble. Christ Jesus is king. Yes. That part I can say. The other one is sort of a phrase that gets you tagged a little bit on it. Why does it matter, Baron? The Dow's over 50,000. The Dow, Baron. Is it over 50 still? I don't pay attention to it. Honestly, when she said it was over 50, I was like, wow, really? Last time I remember looking, it was like 44. Why would you look at it? Who cares? Why would you look at it every day? You going to need your Dow money tomorrow? Bam. Google Trends validation. Correct. We have you to thank for that. Oh, well, thank you. So happy for you, Baron. I sent you an email, and I'm about to follow up with more. Could you please look, if you're able to, love and light either way? Oh, I'll be happy to. Happy to. Is this a case where we can request discovery? No, we can't, but the defense can and has, because they've been exchanging it. They've talked about that. The indictment isn't specific enough. It's the same words the officer we heard on the dispatch verbatim. Yeah, it doesn't have to be too specific. Just has to satisfy the elements. Hey, Baron, love your show. Can you please give a shout out to my daughter, Lily? She came in 3rd at districts for wrestling, her first year wrestling. I don't want to fight her. I'll tell you that. Well done, Lily. Well done. 3rd at districts. That's amazing. TR driving in his Dodge Challenger in Orem, Utah, then walking by camera with shorts and burgundy shirt. New York Post 5 months ago. Did they say where he parked? I really want to know. Like, that's the question I want to know answered. That's the question I want to know answered. But Baron, have you seen Glass Onion? No. You are Benoit Blanc, played by Daniel Craig. He can play you in the movie. Watch Glass Onion. You and Candace are just like the main truth seekers in it. It sounds dirty. Like it sounds like one of those adult movies. Watch the Glass Onion. I'm scared of that. Don't bring your glass onion near me. Remember the footage from the person that thought they saw someone on the roof and then the one that had a quick glimpse of someone on the roof running? Can we check back for dark clothing, long hair? He has dark clothing, but we can't see the hair. It's too far. Too grainy. Too grainy. I'm going to go with Ad Fleet, and that's what I'm calling it from now on because it cuts a syllable out. Ad Fleet is already working on your moonwalk presentation. We'll get back with you. Appreciate you, Fleet. Oh, gosh. I don't know if I want to see myself moonwalk that far. Why did Dan Flood even care about security on the roof if he's part of the plan? Are his texts to the UVU security to ensure TR is seen caught? No. I think they wanted the area behind. I doubt, like, listen, let me tell you something. Do you think Dan Flood really got a text from a student that said, you better watch out for the walkway above you? No. Why do you think they didn't want anyone up there? Because if the patsy was seen on the roof of the Losi Center and somebody starts screaming and says, oh my gosh, there's somebody up there. There's somebody up there. If you remember from the Losi Center, it's a very narrow view of just the tent from where that guy was situated. Everything else is blocked off. And so if you block off that area directly behind the tent, you can't see the Losi Center. Nobody's up there to see it. Which is why they wanted their guy up there, in my opinion. I mean, this is not difficult to figure out if you look at it the way I look at it. If you start with the proposition that these guys had to make sure they didn't get caught and they pulled it off, what you can't have is somebody going, wait a minute, why is there somebody standing up on the roof up there? Is he changing clothes? Does he have a screwdriver? He's got a gun. And then Charlie Kirk is whisked away and he's safe and he lives to fight another day. But if you get with the Utah Valley University Police Department chief ahead of time and you say, hey, Chief Long, a student texted us, a very aware student who is super aware of security measures on campus and very thoughtful about elevated positions over protectees. Just happened to tell us there was this walkway up there. We're not too sure about it. They've supposedly been planning this event since August 24th. Supposedly been planning this event since August 24th. You're telling me the Friday before the event, they're just learning there's a walkway above the tent? Nobody between August 24th, when Brian Harpole says they started planning the event, nobody between August 24th and like September 6th thought to look at the scene and see that there was a walkway directly above where the tent was going to be? That's when it dawned on them that would have to be protected? Come on. No, that's when it dawned on somebody. We might want to control that access. You might not want people standing there because that's going to be a dead-on look at the patsy, and somebody's going to see the patsy, and they're going to clear the stage. Far better explanation for me than Barney Fife figuring out just before the event that there's a walkway above him. Greetings from Canada. Oh, Canada. Call me crazy, but just don't see gravel on the rooftops. Aren't gravel rooftops in the USA mixed with tar? If so, how is a body impression possible? There is gravel on the rooftop. I have drone surveillance footage from up. Ooh, we are the media now. Now that, my friends, is a good. That is a good hoodie. Good t-shirt, good hoodie. Done. Consider it done. Your daughter is recovering from ACL surgery. What happened? I got a question. Did it involve artificial turf? Did it involve artificial turf? I've got a theory about these ACLs. All these kids running around on this artificial turf all day, their ligaments are not as strong as they should be. The shoes are getting too soft. The fields are getting too soft. And then when you plant, you're stuck in that stuff. And then when you go to turn, you're snapping stuff left and right. I don't like that artificial turf. People need to play on grass. Hey, got my taxes, so I'm tipping a bit extra for my normal $9.99. I'm a 1,000-air, guys. Woo, congratulations. You're like 1/9,000th of a 9 millionaire. You're like 1/9 millionth of a billionaire. Well done. Well done. Twins v Twin. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for sharing your windfall. Thank you for sharing your windfall. Great opening. The Google Trends episodes, AES episode, and the one you had Blake Bednar's on looking at all the baseball signs were so telling. Yeah, I agree. Thank you. Great show. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Jennifer. Love our curiosity and our curiosity. We're all curious, and your faith. Say, Michael, protect you. I'm praying for you and Mrs. Coleman. Thank you. Yeah, I asked my wife the other night. I was like, should I be worried? Like, everybody's saying they're worried for me. Candace is still alive. She's like my rabbit. I mean, if they haven't taken her out, I'm probably pretty good. No offense, Candace. No offense. I don't mean anything by it. I'm just looking. I mean, I'm a logical man. I read the book, or parts of it. Baron, did you see Les Wexner's lawyer threaten Les's life during his deposition? I did, humorously, but yes. I know Les is a POS, but that is still chill. He was kidding. As a lawyer, what are your thoughts? My thoughts are he was kidding. He was being funny. Christ is king. Christ is king indeed. Yeah, I thought it was funny, frankly. He said something like, I'll take your life if you answer any question with more than 5 words. I get it, man. You train your people, and when they're billionaires, they don't listen, especially. I've never represented a billionaire, but I imagine. I've represented some people with 9 figures, and they don't listen either. But you want them to just answer the question, and everybody likes to talk. B, right after the Big Bang, an officer stopped a speeding car. Yes. We're aware. I don't know anything about it. I don't have the body cam footage. I think someone requested it, and it was denied. With love from Las Vegas. Thank you. I think I want to say Sam Parker requested that and it was denied, but I can't remember. I saw somebody requested it and it was denied. But Baron, first comment ever, longtime listener. I sent you an email titled The Einstein Files, the hanging tag. I think you're going to want to read it. I'm excited. Okay. Thank you. Duly noted. Can't lay in gravel and have a clean black shirt after. Well, maybe. We don't know if it's clean. We got a long view. My second chat tonight, please get a Rumble wallet. I have one. So you can get 100% of your gifts. I have a Rumble wallet. I got to just hit the tip button. You deserve every single penny. Your content reporting is the absolute bestest ever. Tough call between you and CO. Yeah, if you hit the tip button on Rumble, I'm looking at it right now. It's right next. It says join, and then there's the bell, and right to the right of it, it says tip. If you click that, it takes you to the Rumble wallet. So yeah, I've got it. I got it, baby. In fact, now that you mentioned the Grumblers, I'm going to come over here and talk to them. They just shot. Doesn't that sound like someone who knows they are? Oh, they just shot Charlie. If you didn't, wouldn't you say someone shot? Charlie's been shot? Or am I overanalyzing? I don't think you're overanalyzing. But I also think it was rehearsed. Do we know for a fact the Mauser they recovered was actually Grandpa's? Anything off about the story? How the family connected all that? Why is the furry in Texas? How did the media find him? I don't know how the media found him. He's in Texas running, I guess, not wanting to be seen. The interesting question about the Mauser, though, because it opens up something on the timeline we didn't cover today. Tyler Robinson sent a text message, allegedly, that said, oh, man, the media released a picture of the gun and the granddaddy's just all bent out of shape. Daddy wants to see a picture of the rifle. You know how he is. Now that they've seen the rifle, they know it's theirs. Well, that is evidence that it was fake. That's evidence the entire conversation is fake, and we can disregard everything else that was said in that text message exchange. And the reason is, Heather, because that was a stock image the New York Post used. That wasn't even the actual rifle. It wasn't the actual rifle. And so Granddaddy couldn't have recognized it, nor could Daddy. That's not their rifle. Can you please get AdFleet to make a video of you and Coach doing the interview that Dan and Cash did together? That sounds like a bromance, but secretive romance. Lots of love to you and your family. Well, I can't make her make anything. User Hope for Love and Peace wanted to ask you what you think KP meant when he said, see you in Valhalla. I don't know precisely. I think it was a code, though. It was obviously a code that, like, we've got it under control. We've covered it up. Everybody's good. Teams, thanks for your service. Go back to your duty stations. UN has close affiliations with UVU. UN and foreign countries have a hold in Utah. It's the birthplace of the fourth industrial revolution, and the majority of Utah's population has no idea. I had no idea. Of course, I don't live in Utah. Any luck recruiting Boach Ballin to CrossFit? He needs to represent for those AdFleet bids. Boach, you want to do the open? Starts next Thursday. I'll pay your $20. And then we'll make it interesting. Maybe I don't gamble, but we might could make it interesting, right? First super chat, love your show, fellow Catholic. Any update on your priest you mentioned coming on the show regarding Charlie? Could Stacy Sheridan be on one of those flights? Blessings to the team and roll tide. You made me say that out loud. For $10, I'll say it, but that's low down and dirty. Yes, there is an update on the priest. My wife actually ran into him the other day, and he sounded interested. So we are going to pursue that. He actually gave me a personal email that I didn't know he had, not the one that's on the parish website. Could Stacy Sheridan be on one of those flights? Probably. Ideally. She had to get there somehow, I would assume. But I don't know. Oh, that's the Rumble wallet. I went over there to look at the Rumble wallet and got lost in my Rumblers. I think I explained the Andrew on two different planes business. Baron, the airport is just for private flights. It's never busy. They have valet. I've flown out of there many times, and local warehouse have hangars. Fly from there as well. I get that, but you still have to park your car. You still have to walk over there. The plane still has to start. They still have to close the door. They still have to cross-check everything. They still have to get clearance from the tower to fly. They still have to pressure the vessel. I mean, it's not like getting in an F-150. You don't just jump in, turn the key, count to 3, put it in D, right? Or however you guys learn to drive. I mean, it's more than that. More than that. But yeah, I mean, Stacy Sheridan had to be on a plane. There's no doubt about it. This is a good question. When was the flight plan filed? Andrew? Tyler? Erika? The floor is yours. Watch this, guys. I've learned. This question is a good one. Can you answer this question? Erika, Tyler, Andrew. I would love to know. Love to know. Now, guys, the reason that's funny is because it actually appears on this side on my screen. Stories trending. TPUSA under IRS scrutiny after Kid Rock making it public he wasn't paid for halftime show. IRS freezing accounts and donors questioning where the money is. What? Let's see here. Kid Rock, TPUSA. Let's see here. IRS. Add something to it here. Nope, I'm not saying that. Is that AI slop? But maybe it's true. I don't know. I'm willing to accept it because it sounds like a move they would do. I almost said an ugly word there. That's interesting. It's pretty scary thinking they can frame somebody for a murder, put them in jail for the rest of their life, like they could do the same thing to us for speaking out. Christ is king. Christ is king indeed. You know, Jesse had a good point. If you were, and it's a point I've raised under a different context, but his thing was like, if you were at risk of going away to a foreign prison where you wouldn't be treated well, and they offered you, well, we'll allow you to serve your time here in the United States, but you've got to do us a favor. Maybe they would take that deal, suggesting that's how a patsy might agree to serve time in a situation like this. I raised it in a different context. Like, would you rather go to prison for shooting Charlie Kirk, or would you rather go to prison for what you really did, which is something very frowned upon in prison, historically and notoriously? Now, I'm not suggesting that's what Tyler Robinson did, but I'm suggesting that would be a way to recruit a patsy. Woody Harrelson with hair would be a good pick. Well, he doesn't have hair. He doesn't have hair. Both goofy, fun, and he's old. How old is Woody Harrelson? He was old when I was a kid. How old do you think I am, guys? He's 64 years old. I'm offended. It's going to take a lot to get back in my good graces, young lady. This is not something that's going to be easy. Both attractive with you being slightly more good looking. Oh, well, you've already done it. Good graces. Oh, wait. Which one of the boxes would you prefer to be checked? Well, thank you. I appreciate what a great comment. This is what I'm talking about. Really high class, high quality, high IQ comment. So thank you. Funny that no one happened to latch onto your trends message at the time. Yeah, isn't that weird? Nobody wanted to latch onto it when it would solve a actual problem. God had bigger plans for you, Mr. Coleman. So obvious the Father's hand had been upon you for the message you preach. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I never thought at the time that me desperately emailing every podcaster I thought might be amenable to the message and being routinely ignored. I understand what you guys feel like when you email somebody, you're like, oh, they're going to respond to this because this is good intel right here. This is great. This is going to catch on. They're going to love this. And then you tune in the next day, like, here it comes. Here. Maybe they'll cover it tomorrow. Here it comes. Here it comes. Maybe I need to follow back up. Did you get my email? I get it. Let's see here. My brother got into an ATVMX. I don't know what that means. Accident and was gripping onto life. I was 9 hours away from him in the hospital. It took me at least an hour to even compose myself. He's alive and healthy, but I still have not forgiven his four-wheeler. Oh, that must be a four-wheeler. I've never heard of that. Is that a brand or is that some sort of code that I'm not familiar with? God is good. I'm glad your brother is still with us. Why all the different flights from Scottsdale? Doesn't it make sense for Tyler Bowyer to text AK, maybe get a hold of others and all flying together? Maybe I'm just cheap and used to carpooling. Jillian, the word you're looking for is we're poor. You, me, probably most of the commenters. We're the poors. They don't think about us. These guys will drop 10 grand on a private flight, 20 grand, 30 grand on a private flight. Do you know what it cost Erika? My estimate of what it cost Erika to fly the Gulfstream 5 from Scottsdale to Nashville, meet with Candace Owens for 3 or 4 hours and fly back was upwards of $100,000. At least 80. I can't see how it costs less than 80. but probably close to 100. That is double the median salary in the United States for somebody who works 2,000 hours a year. She spent it in a day on a private jet. And there were only 2 people on that jet. They could have taken a smaller jet and paid half. But no. You got to take the G5 when you're going to Nashville. Got to take the G5. Nothing but the best for the Miss Cook. Tyler Bowyer channeling his best O.J. Simpson to get through the airport and catch his impossible flight. Those were great commercials. I had to take a 30-minute break from your pod tonight to send an important email to Megyn Kelly. I sent you a BCC. Please look for it. You're the best. Duly noted. Thank you. How many syllables in the word Gloria? Gloria. 3. Catholics. 18. Gloria. Yes. But when we do the Sanctus, it's not 18. Gloria in excelsis. That's only 3. Gloria in excelsis. You Catholics heard that and know what it means. I think it's hilarious that Jimmy asked you to comment on the Jason. Oh, was that Jason Goodman's video? It said crowdsource the truth. I couldn't see it. It was so small on my screen because he uses, I think, Zoom. Yeah, it was Zoom. And I'm just a tiny little box. I could barely see what was going on up there. Maybe if I would have dropped the pride and put these beauties on. No, that's worse. That's funny. That's funny. Oh, that's great. Edge. Since the Invest shows, EK was likely on the ground and calling these shots, and TPUSA was streaming live for the first time, I conclude this was streamed to her for her because of her. No need to call her. Footage of her leaving mom. Maybe that's what they were doing differently. Maybe that is what Terrell was explaining to Candace that they were doing differently. That's a good call. That's a good catch, Edge. Good catch. What's the official TPSU? TPSU narrative explaining why they didn't call for a true bona fide ambulance and trained EMS and instead decided they knew better, put them in their own vehicle, make it make sense. The official narrative is it was an emergency and they didn't think they had time to waste. Timeline skills are something to behold. I bet your kids know better than to even think about trying to lie to you. I'll catch them. No, they'll think about it because I have caught them. When I saw that guy on day 1 mess with the cameras, it was on. The whole thing was so insanely in our faces. Yes. But Baron, please FOIA request all photos and footage from Brian Harpole's Meta smart glasses. That's not how FOIA works. That's going to be his personal data, his personal images. And I haven't, there's no legal recourse for me. There's no way for me to get them. The drama queen of the video announcing they shot Charlie attended acting school with EK. He's dead. I could do that. By the way, my Siberian Husky does that same look, dramatically up and away. Away and up. But she can pull it off. Also, thanks for the impromptu grammar lessons. I don't mean to give them. But thank you, Penny Lane. Oh, Penny Lane. You named after the Beatles song, perhaps. We're looking for a girl's name. So I like Penny Lane. I like that. Regarding feed to Arizona, P.S. McCoy slipped up when first discussed Charlie's death and said what I seen, then changed to what I was told. Thought they were all sitting around watching it. McCoy. Oh, you're talking about Rob. Yeah. They were all sitting around watching it. Possible greatest ally PM2 as messaged quick. Love the Scotland. I don't know what all that means, but yeah, I heard that as well. There was a mistake there. Pin what you referenced in future streams to the same question and asked 100 times. That's a good one. Are EK and Stacey Sheridan livers? I don't know. Sounds gross. Lovers, perhaps? Maybe. Crisis King, indeed. Thank you. Oh, gosh, guys, we're already at 3:11. Notice yesterday, every ear day, the time of the 560 TW's departure, Andrew would have been sitting on the plane waiting for the word of their bang. Yeah, probably. That's a good call. That's a good call. How are nation states going to do terminations when everyone looks at the details now? Well, it's going to be more difficult. Talked to my dad, 1.5 hour hospital call, 1.5 hour later hospital call. He flatlined at 4:10. I played with dog for 15 minutes before rushing to him. Bro called when best friend was found unresponsive. I kept working for 10 minutes before I acted. Gosh. Sorry to hear about your tragedy there. Thank you for sharing. BB called a hit on Charlie because he wasn't playing his game anymore. That is the why. Mikey on that video today looked like he was passing along the okay, we're good to go signal to Dan. I think he had someone on the phone listening the whole time so he could tell him when the mission was complete. Perhaps. I mean, that's a way to look at it. A way to look at it. Baron, does Rumble have the same aversion to CK videos as YouTube? Could you do a Rumble only to show the various videos and discuss them with the jury? Thank you for making this a high IQ outfit. I don't think they do, and I probably could. Probably could. It's a good question from my sister. I didn't mean to say that. I apologize. Seemed like TMZ used exclusive footage to quickly cover up the scandal of their staff, audibly cheering when CK's passing was announced. Despicable behavior, yet now they're sourced and they profit. Wow. I didn't know that. Man, I wish you practiced law in Monmouth County, New Jersey. I need a lawyer like you. You're doing great. Good night, everyone. I'm retired. I am retired. Where did EK hide out? My guess is the Egyptian plane, if I had to guess. In your opinion, what are the chances defense attorneys are compromised, threatened to not genuinely pursue TR's innocence? Would they be part of the plan, or did TPU USA feds believe it was all in place and wouldn't matter? I don't know. Jimmy asked me something similar today, and I said, as a lawyer, I've got to be real careful commenting on stuff like that. I don't know. We will see. We will see as they begin to outline their defense in May. I think they have a probable cause hearing, for lack of a better expression, and we will begin to see what what's going on. We'll get a little more detail. Harpo will take you to his Wayback Machine if you keep talking about this. They think we're stupid and it's getting old. Yeah, I don't want to go to Harpo's Wayback Machine. I'm afraid he's going to do more than that. How did Andrew get to the airport and take off in 15 minutes? When were these flight plans filed? It's a good question. Good question. This is a good question. Do I think EK and AK are following orders from someone else running the show? Do you think they're sociopaths for being able to tell so many lies? I'm starting to think the last is true. The first is, but I don't know. Are the Coleman kids aware this is Dad's episode number 67? No, they're not. No, they're not. Time for a 6-7 party, guys and gals. No, they are not. This is interesting. Transponder theory comes on as EK lands, stays on until they confirm that CK has left Salt Lake City for Orem. AK is texting CK updates. That is remarkably good timing, because that transponder stayed on for 90 minutes, and that was about the time he left Salt Lake City. That's remarkably good timing. Thank you for putting that together. We need to add that to the timeline. That's good. That's good. That's good. Dad had a canine. Amount of training they get is unreal. No way they wouldn't have found the gun. Plus, they have to get recertified yearly. I agree. I mean, that the fact that Yeah, the fact that the dogs didn't. I'm trying to think of a reason the dogs might oversee it. You know, they were distracted, but apparently officers can just trip over it. So it's not like it was hidden well. It was just laying there on the ground. I just don't buy it. I mean, even the dog handler would have seen it. It's not like you just let the dogs run loose. Say, "Come back, Fido. Did you find anything? Good boy, good boy. Did you find anything? Who's a good boy? I mean, the handler would be walking with them. Your show is fire from your friendly Utah dispatcher. And if you need any radio transmissions transcribed, let me know, because I understood exactly what they said. That must be like a language training. You go to foreign language school for that? Listen to work. Cleaning those toilets you ranted about. Need a hoodie that says, "I just say stuff. Thanks for all you do." Working on it. Working on it. We're going to get there. We're going to get there. I bet you're a kick-ass lawyer. Well, thank you. Fed sloppy. My new favorite word. Yes. We got to get the Fed sloppy. If Andrew's wife was on that flight, Erika would have undoubtedly known. First, wouldn't Andrew let his wife off first? Ladies first? You would think. He seems like a gentleman, right? But second, Andrew fell into Erika's arms, but Andrew's wife wouldn't even give her a hug and say something in support. That's a great point. That is a fantastic point. Joe, that's one of the better comments I've gotten, because I hope Candace gets that. I'm going to mention that to her. That's a great point. I'm going to mention that to her. Bayron, I booked private planes, and there's no chance. 1, a plane fueled, ready to go. 2, pilots and crew on standby. 3, his assistant calling in and booking it. Rich people never call. Seems impossible to fit within a short timeline. I'm glad you said that, because now I have evidence to back up my theory that timeline is ludicrous. So thank you. Thank you for checking in. You must be over the target. Breaking news, DJT to open alien UFO files. Nothing to see here. I saw the MKYT vid and thought, go Baron. Oh, this is even more confirmation we're right. Andrew Colvett hosted the Charlie Kirk show on September 10, 2025 from their mobile studio, meaning his house. I don't remember the time the show ended that day, and I can't find it online. Well, it would have been at 9 o'clock, I think, Pacific time. I think it ends at noon Eastern, right? Is it noon to 2 Eastern or 10 to noon Eastern, something like that? But it's evidence he was in Santa Barbara, and so there's only one flight that came from Santa Barbara, and that was well after Erika was supposed to be at the hospital. So if he wasn't on that flight, because he couldn't have fallen into arms then he had to be on the other flight, and that explains the triangle flight I was talking about: Scottsdale to Provo, Provo to Santa Barbara to Scottsdale, and then the Delta Zulu flight coming in. So thank you. Thank you. Oh, no necklace on CK at his last interview before UVU? I thought he had a suit on. How could you tell? I'll go back and look. That's interesting. After the last 3 episodes, all I can say is, Baron, have you seen the big, beautiful ballroom? It's going to be so good. Going to be people dancing in there. It's amazing. I was catching up today on the EK show from 10 days ago. I was listening so intently, I missed my exit on the highway. Darn you, Baron. You're the best. God bless. I'm doing my best over here. Any advice for a YA Catholic struggling in faith? It's rough out here, no community. Love your show from Melbourne, Australia. Thank you for speaking the truth. You don't have any Catholics in Melbourne, Australia? It's a big city. I'm assuming YA means young adult. There should be plenty there. Maybe try a different parish. I don't know what the Catholic community is like in Melbourne. I'm sorry to hear that, though. Sorry to hear that. I don't have advice. I mean, I wish I did. My advice, frankly, would be maybe you might have to drive to a different parish to find a bigger community. Erika also stated she stayed alone in her bed and alone in her room that night at the hotel the night the light flickered. She specifically said alone 2 times. Well, Stacy must have had her own room. My husband and I are addicted to your show. Oh, some addictions are good. Paramount Technical, obviously working for the FBI or CIA. Well, that's your opinion. Not terrible. Bard's from Pretty Likeable. Probably something to CK's son. I don't know what that means. Keep up the good work. Thank you for promoting Christ is King. Christ is King indeed. Thank you for your kindness. Do you think the June searches are tied with CK going to POTUS during Iran conflict? Yes. Interesting how they are heading towards war shortly after they took him out. Yes, very. I feel that was likely the catalyst. Yes. Correct. Correct. Was the officer's name searched? Can you look your Google Trends search? I can look. I didn't look at the time. I looked for the chief and the officer that was there on the scene telling everybody back up. Amazing week of shows. Well, thank you. Appreciate that. Matthew 23:9 called No Man Your Father. Into the universe, took time to make response vid, and you dismiss it like nothing, leading the masses astray. You are. Oh, come on. Stop it. I call my dad my father. Paul called himself people's father in faith. Didn't we cover this one time? I hate doing this. I think he said, I become your father in faith. Yeah. For I became your father in Christ Jesus through the gospel. I just like Paul. That's all. Sorry. I'm a big Paul guy. I'm a Paulite. You sound like an anti-Paulite. Baron. Mr. Baron. Very impressed. You are the person I have probably first. Or maybe second. Thank you for what you do. Keep making noise. Maximum Christ is King. Christ is King indeed. Thank you. Did I see the video you posted on my X account of what looks like the person on the roof after you hear? No, I don't see anything posted to my X account. It's probably why my X account just sort of fritters away. I put stuff up there when I have questions and need to chime in. Every now and then I'll be fishing around on X and find something. It's not feasible Charlie's body was released. I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means. Wow, the research is amazing from you, Daisy, and the jury. Before I get into my next relationship, I'm having you guys do background check. I don't recommend it. Take people at their word. I think all these apps are destroying young relationships. I really believe that. Because it's making people too choosy, for one, because you have such a wide berth. Whereas in the old days, it was like, well, I only know 3 people. I better choose one of them. Like you met someone at school and like you only met 10 people at school and this guy seems the best of the 10. Now you got to compete with like 40,000 stuff. So that sucks. The second thing is, yeah, you can immediately jump on Google their name and see absolutely everything they've ever done, said. You can look at their social media, scroll back for months, years. Oh my gosh, this guy like Justin Bieber? Eh. I mean, Baby was a good song. Maybe interesting to compare Green Beret Brother. That's hard to say. Green Beret Brother. You couldn't say that if you hadn't quit drinking. With maroon shirt young men. Not a bad idea. Vivaldi Concerto in D for guitar, lute. RV 1, 2, and 3 has been one of my favorites for years. Yeah, Vivaldi was cool. And I heard he was a good dude. Let me see. I'm really late and we got a lot of these, so I'm having to be very selective tonight. I apologize I went so long. Oh, this is interesting. Could TR have been recruited to help the maroon shirt people protect CK? Offered good pay for the day. He came early to campus for a maroon group meeting. Yeah, but wouldn't he have said that by now? Like at some point, you're like, whoa, I was a good guy. I was on the payroll. Love the hard work. Opinions on Jesse on Fire's theory. It's been fun to follow. He's certainly, like I said, I think Jesse, and this is not me just disagreeing politely. I think Jesse is one of the most talented broadcasters in this space. I genuinely believe that. The way that man works a microphone, his enthusiasm, and I listen for things other people don't listen to, vocal variations, tone changes, speed adjustments, knowing when to pause the sentence to allow people's brains to catch up. so that you can finish and they're with you. And I don't know if he's been trained in it. Like, I took broadcasting very seriously and read about how to get better, trained in it, practiced, spent years not perfecting it, but improving my craft. And Jesse just has it. He's a very talented broadcaster. That said, it's been very entertaining to listen to what he's saying. I don't buy it yet. But I will admit there are some weirdnesses that have yet to be explained. I have not listened to the telepathy tapes. I heard Ian did a show on it that I want to catch up on. Baron, I hope you plan to compile your opening statements to turn into a novel. It will go down in history. I'm also hoping for an amazing ending, but that one will lead to a second. I might do an ending one day, like a closing argument, but the show's already long. Can you imagine me doing the super chats and then giving another 15, 20 minute closing? I mean, it's just, and you have to write it. Like, it doesn't just write itself. You've got to put pen to paper, pixels to screen, right? It takes time. Husband used to work for Signature as flight line support and says it wouldn't be hard to get a plane in air 1 hour, 4 minutes after notification of needed flight. To get in the air an hour and 4 minutes? Okay. The other person who used to book private planes thought that was a tight timeline. So this happens at trial. You have two witnesses saying seemingly opposite things, and the jury has to decide who they believe. And, the person booking seemed to make a compelling case. Your husband seems to make a compelling case. Members of the jury, what do you do with it? What do you do with it? Remember when Charlie's security guy was on Sean Ryan, he said they couldn't get Charlie in the car and chuckled about how the door was hitting his head. Yeah, but I mean, they also said he's dead. Like Frank Turk has this dramatic thing that he says all the time, which I don't like him. He has this dramatic, Charlie wasn't looking at me. He was looking past me into eternity. Like, where did you come up with that line? Why do you keep saying it? It's weird. The first 3 or 4 times I heard it, it was weird enough. But now that he keeps saying it, I'm like, what are you doing, man? What are you doing? That is a weird line. But if it's true, if he was looking at you in eternity, he pulled his legs in and shut the door. How hard is that? Has anyone commented how odd it was EK didn't regret and cry about not spending CK's last night next to him? Yeah, now that you say it, it is weird. Big Bad B. I don't know that I want to be called that. We can all be the jury as Americans sucks. America sucks. Americans sucks. We can't be the judge. Keep going. We believe in independent journalism to solve this. Use your brain, American. Are EK and Stacy an item? I've wondered, honestly. And I've wondered about that other lady who's supposedly her best friend that's an older woman. She seems to take to women, like, creepily. But I don't know. Thoughts on the Akashic field? I've never heard of it. I believe we're spiritual beings wearing flesh suits as we dwell on this earthly realm. Christ is king. Well, that conflicts with my understanding of Catholic theology. But I mean, I don't know that it would change anything. Just finished stalking The Wild Pendulum on the Mechanics of Consciousness by Itzhak Bentov. Was inspiration for DARPA Gateway Project. Fascinating. Oh, that sounds fascinating. The Wild Pendulum. No sense CK slept in daughter's room if he needed rest. Child was probably upset over something that happened in the home, and he was consoling her. If it was sleep he needed, he'd go on the couch or a spare room. I think the story is that the daughter was in the bed with Erika, probably being consoled after a raucous evening because they were in a condo, right? Smaller house. That makes more sense to me. He's pissed and doesn't want to stay in there with her. That makes more sense to me. I'd love a show with you and Jussie on Fire debunk each other's theories. Well, I don't know about debunk, but address. I would be willing to address. I don't want to go into the debunking business. But I would love to sit down and talk to him about all his theories because I've got what I think are pretty good explanations, or at least things that should also be considered. Thanks for all the hard work you do. Always finding new talking points and always keeping us entertained. Christ is king. Christ is king indeed. Thank you for your kind contribution. Whitney the Mod, Baron, today is a very special day. It is Mr. P.G. Whitaker II's birthday. He is the community pop. Please give him a big shout out. He shows up even when he has to wake up at 4 a.m. We love our PG. We do love our PG, but PG, especially if you're elderly pop, you need to get some sleep. You can watch the replay. You can watch the replay, pop. But thank you. And happy birthday to you. He's a great commenter. Snake eyes and the wreck of the Titan are examples of how impactful events ripple out through time consciousness to influence the collective consciousness and artistic works of the imagination. So saith thee. Hi, Baron. Great show. Thank you. Sent an email at 7:40ish. I think you'll be interested in. Written better than my first. Okay. Duly noted. Hollow Earth fits EU model. Planet core equal anode. Crust, cathode. Matter drawn to cathode. Gravity. High energy exchanges between anode cathode. Transmutes plasma to matter. Earth generates matter. I'm willing to accept that. AK on 130 flight. TB on 230 flight. No, Andrew wouldn't have been there yet, would he? I don't have my timeline up still. Where's the run? There it is. Let me look. I don't know that works. So you're saying Andrew on the 130 flight. Was he in Well, no, he wasn't in Scottsdale yet. He didn't land till 144. Try again. Try again. When it comes to who we should expect to be invested in this investigation, would it be CK's parents? What's your opinion? I think they should be invested. Is it odd that most killers are referred to by three names, not just first and last, yet it is Tyler Robinson? A common sounding name should have an initial or middle name like the others. Seems odd. It's a little odd, I agree. And I have referred to him as Tyler James Robinson quite frequently from the beginning. Not every time, obviously, but a lot. And eyelash him up. I think I'll make it. But yeah, it's a little odd. I think they add the middle name just so that other Tyler Robinsons aren't impacted. It just cuts down on the number of people that are impacted. But I don't know. La Baron. Now I'm French. I can't help it but lose every time. Oh, I can't do it. Who am I kidding? I was trying to do Pepe Le Pew, but it came out like some. I'm not gonna say what it came out like. But I lose it every time you do the Terra Farnsworth pause for effect. Also, someone should introduce Brian Hoppo to the real Wayback Machine. It will help him keep his story straight. Agreed. You know what just clicked in my head? Bluetooth and helicopters above your house seems kind of suspicious. Be careful. That did not help me get any sleep tonight. You know how late it is? That's a comment I need at like 7. I don't need that comment at 9:34. Come on. Tighten up. Hey, B. A friend attends the TPUSA prep year. EK was set to speak today, but after parents at a Dallas high school canceled her, she canceled the prep visit. The CK documentary crew still came. I heard that someone commented on that yesterday. That's crazy. Baron, I always get here late. Well, you better tighten up. We run a tight ship around here. We start on time. We're not one of those people that doesn't start on time. We start on time. My daughter loves your laugh and asked me to turn it up when she sees the show is on. She's here for the laughs, and I'm here for your content and humor. Well, thank you. Thank you. I never thought a thing about my laugh in my entire life until you guys started commenting about it. Now, honestly, I'm a little, what's the word I'm looking for? I've got a complex. Someone asked what was wrong with your hair yesterday, but I felt like it made your face look slimmer. Just complimenting, favorite podcaster ever. Quickly becoming my favorite commenter ever. You think so? Well, thank you. I got a haircut. That's what's wrong with it. Big congrats on your sobriety. I got sober on my 25th birthday. I'm 62 years young. May I ask for your prayers? I've suffered several losses recently and feeling a bit down. God bless you. God bless you as well, Susan. I'm sorry you're dealing with loss. Certainly happy to pray for you. Mrs. Coleman says a lot of prayers for you guys as well if she picks up on prayer requests while you guys are commenting. So, yeah, I did notice the TMZ connections between Charlie Kirk and Guthrie. I did. Absolutely did. Likely AD in AdFleet stands for artificial diffusion, AI lingo. Diffusion models are a type of generative AI that create audio, video, or images from noise. RBP, CO, coach, etc. Noise. You're calling me noise? I don't know whether to be offended or flattered. I'm flattered she makes them. I'm offended you called it noise. But I'm willing to let it go for now. Brian Harpole stated that UVU gave them no other choice but the amphitheater and on the Sean Ryan show. Which is it? Thank you, Candace and others, for seeking the truth. Christ is truth and king. Ooh, we're adding now. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. How did EK get MM call if AK had phone? You're believing them now? Is that what we're doing? We're believing what they say? Random Bluetooth equals check the on-air sign. Consider it checked. It's not that. That plugs in, it doesn't have anything, and it's no longer here. And the sign is here. So it's not the sign. My 5-month-old puppy, Roxy, is part of the high IQ outfit. She says grace before eating. I hold her paw as we thank Jesus for her food and watching Baron before her nighty night. She's donating her treat money to join. I'm gonna allow this one, but don't get carried away. I'm letting Annie Jans have this one. Welcome to the club, Roxy. You're gonna love it here. Woof. Big difference between asking someone to pray for me and communicating with familiar spirits. Oh my. You guys don't get my personality. Read the room. Read the room. I don't like fighting over theology. You ask me what I believe, I'll tell you. I'm not asking you what you believe. You don't have to tell me. I don't care what you believe. I don't care. Read the room. Read the room. This is a friendly, high IQ outfit. We engage. We have fun. We talk about our journeys in life. We ask for prayers. We celebrate birthdays. We celebrate anniversaries. We console each other in death. Come on. That's true religion, brother. We're taking care of widows and orphans in here, and you're arguing over semantics. Stop it. Stop it. Called him out, Baron. This was definitely a bad cop hat episode. Well, how did you even know I was going to have that conversation with this guy? Oh, you're talking about the rest of it. Oh, yeah. Bad cop. Agreed. Tyler was not on stairs. It was a trans called Skylar Valdez. He's on the Sting Out Charlie Kirk. Charlie Jerk dead at 31. He's part of the Utah Queer Shooting Group. Well, let's look him up. Skylar Valdez. I've heard this name, and I've looked this guy up, but I don't know. Wish I hadn't looked him up. That's creepy. I would say she's not passing. Or he. So I'm going to disagree with you. That's not that person on the stairs. If this is indeed who you're talking about. This person has long hair. Like very long hair. That ain't working either. Piece missing on last minute's charter pilots, usually 90 to 20 minute standby, not 15. Okay, now we're 2-1. We're 2-1. Signature guy. Oh gosh. Screwdriver theory. They're commonly used for removing pistol grips or adjusting sights, known as combination tools. Screwdriver, wrench, and hammer, they were part of a kit for maintaining military equipment. But they said screwdriver. They didn't say combination tool. But it's a theory. I'm willing to allow it. Thank you. Was Bowyer already at airport hanging with EK in the Egypt plane? Maybe his car at airport. Maybe, and maybe that was someone else who came up on that plane. I don't know. But his car wouldn't be at the airport because he flew in. His car would be in Scottsdale. Baron, was the CK show still on air when the Big Bang happened? I don't believe so. Why would Tyler say he didn't go on the show because of the big event? I thought it happened after the show was off air. Oh, maybe it did. No, maybe he's talking about that other person's show. I didn't look too closely at whose show and what all that. I was looking more at him saying he made it to the hospital. I'm thinking, wait a minute, how'd you do that? The timeline doesn't add up. Can't get there. If you pay attention to everyone around CK when the Big Bang happened, you notice none of them were startled by the bang. It was like they were expecting it. It's crazy. Yes. Yes, I did. Yes, I did notice. So the transponder for the Egyptian plane turned on when Erika got there because the Egyptian plane is equipped with technical capability to monitor Charlie's position live. I'm reading it as a question because I figured it was a question. But if you're saying it as a statement, then thank you for bringing that information. I was unaware. But I didn't know that they could monitor his position live. Well, I guess you could, yeah. If what you're saying is visually monitor via video, then yeah, maybe. Maybe. Used my tax money to do something positive for Lent. I got a large print Bible, prayer journal, and gave up excuses for not praying. Love learning in this high IQ class. You, Grandma Matilda, have just improved your soul and your life. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that with us. Baron, I just want you to know we support you, pray for you and your family. Hubby taking on cigarettes for Lent. I'm determined to stop using JC in speech. Please say a quick prayer for our success. I will do that. We gave up coffee. I'm 2 days in. I've switched to tea. I don't know if that's really it wasn't like I quit the caffeine. And I'm not sure how much of a sacrifice it is because I think I actually prefer the tea. I think maybe the real sacrifice would be now going back to the coffee. Has anyone looked at Erika's possible flights on the 8th and 9th? Yes. Also, did we ever figure out why the Egyptian planes were following Erika all over the world? That wasn't my position. I had not spent much time looking into that. I've said that over and over. I washed my hands of that part of the investigation because, frankly, it was just too complex. And other people were doing it. So why am I going to replicate their work? Candace was all over that. There were some other people all over that. So if you want to follow up on that, this isn't the best place to go. But yes, I have looked into the flights in and out of all those airports on September 8th and 9th. Volcartarian ANV-17 HMR matches entrance wound, tears up the wound cavity, fragments don't exit, fits in black pack. Gary Melton's initial analysis, Garin Thumb test the 17th as well. Tyler Robinson Cousins believe a 5728 Secret Service issue. There's a lot going on in that comment. I think you're saying it's a 17 caliber, 17. What you're saying? I don't know, man. Are you saying it's a 17 caliber round, like 0.17 inches, and it's that first word may be the brand, and the second may be the type of round, HMR? I don't know. I'll look into it. Thank you. 46 Club. Welcome to the club. Appreciate your knowledge from Kentucky, of all places. Appreciate your knowledge and humble presence. You and fellow members of the jury give me hope. Let's keep pressing for action. Much respect. Thank you. I gave up Fed slop for Lent. Yes, me too. T-shirt I did. Don't get your glass onion near me. Thanks for digging deep into this truth. Digging. We're digging over here. I just got a notification you posted on X. When? Been a while, or else somebody else is posting in my name. I may be misunderstanding, but I wonder why Charlie's green plane stayed in Salt Lake for so many hours. Because it probably was going to reposition and pick them up later at Signature. I mean, it's already on the ground at Salt Lake. Why land again? That would be my guess. I don't know. No freaking way you saw Coach and said Gary. Don't be slipping, Baron. Oh, it's late. It's late. Don't hold it again. Don't hold it against me. New member, by the way, loved you and Coach's episode. Oh, that was a good episode. I probably got better feedback on that episode than anything else I've done on the member side. There's a podcast live streaming when they found out about Charlie. They had a woman calling in and freaking out saying they were screwed. I can't find it now, but our community needs to try to go back to the beginning with you. That'd be a good one to find. I think I know which one you're talking about. Someone said it's Destiny. I've never watched Destiny and had never heard of Destiny prior to this. So, but I'm pretty sure that's accurate. My husband and I have had some time together in the evening, and we have so enjoyed your coverage. You're a great investigator. We were hooked. Love one. I think I understand what you're saying, and I'm glad you're spending time together. Stronger marriage, make a happier life, better life. Thanks for sharing your successes with us here. I'm 83-year-old high IQ grandma. Yes, a very high IQ grandma. You know how I know that? I know a lot of grandmas that couldn't figure out the super chats. Oh, you can't either. I'm just kidding. Who can watch mainstream news since who can't watch mainstream news since 9/10/25? I'm praying you are helping us discover a huge scam. Coleman rocks. Keep us going. Max praying for us. Christ King. Yes, Christ is King. Thank you. Man, 83 and still super chatting. That's fantastic. I'm doing my best here. That would be a good one. You guys need to email Real Baron Podcast merch idea, and then we could have a collection, perhaps. Have a collection. Are there any journalists besides B, Candace, Coach, Jimmy Fredo, and others on Tube investigating the biggest story in years? This is the last shot to bring the light back. There are a few others, but not many. Not many. Guys, don't forget to click the notifications, like, subscribe on your way out. I haven't shamed you guys on the like number. I'll do that now. I haven't shamed you guys in a long time on that. Oh, we're 13,000. That's good number of likes. Well done, guys. Well done. Happy to celebrate that success with us. You guys don't always do so well, but tonight on the ball. But I appreciate it. I don't know if I'll be back tomorrow. I will let you guys know on X and with a YouTube post. One way or the other, I'll let you know tomorrow. It depends on how the show prep goes during the day, what Miss Daisy's up to, what my wife has me getting into. My wife has a little side gig and may be called to duty tomorrow. So if she hasn't already been called to duty tonight, I've been trapped back here for the last 3 hours, 49 minutes, and 20 seconds. So she could be gone. I'm not sure, but one way or the other, I'll let you guys know if we're going to put a show together tomorrow or not. If not, I may do a member show just because I want to get weird and have some fun. So I'll keep you informed on that as well. Either way, you have to know. You must always know. You must remember. Jesus loves you. Have a good night, and I will see you soon. One way or the other, I'll be back Sunday night regardless, no matter what. I'll be here Sunday night. And I am going to go look at the UFO stuff. I can't help it. I'm a sucker for crazy news. Talk to you soon.